It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do, you do. From the Dixieline Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, we welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast coming off a great sports weekend. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley, broadcasting from left field. We welcome you to our Monday podcast. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You've got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can be your best friend, become your consultant. Dixieline Lumber, build it, fix it. We guarantee you will enjoy it in 2025. John Riley, what a great sports weekend. What a hell of a Sunday for sports fans. Does not matter what the sport was. There was something happening. And then when the games are all over on Sunday, even more stuff happened on the golf course and then at the baseball trade window. So, man, we're going a lot of different directions.
A lot of different directions. And I was even hoping for the NBA on Sunday night. And they took a break last night. But, yeah, it was a very big sports day.
We're going lots of different directions. We do sports talk on this podcast the way it should be done. We put topics on the table. We give you opinions, and then we open it up for you to take control of your podcast. We call it Fans Forum. John, we have so many new people that join us, wander in, wander out. Explain to them what the Fans Forum chat box is.
Okay, so yeah, wander in and join us. So, hey, if you got a question or comment in the world of sports, you got a question for this guy, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, now's your chance. Just type in your question in the live chat on X, on YouTube, on Facebook. We'll see it on our screen. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
You're a big sports fan. I want you to sample my website. I write on it every day. Does not matter what your favorite sport is. You can go from section to section. You like baseball. You love the NFL. You're following the NBA with the draft just around the corner. All things hockey. Their draft is about to take place. We cover NASCAR, the PGA Tour, a lot of soccer conversation. I cover it all. Just go to the website, leehacksawhamilton.com. Also, join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Right on the homepage of my website, there's a big orange box. When you fill it out, you get on the email list, and we send out a couple of emails every day to everybody on the Insiders Group. Want you to join me on social media. Want you to become one of my Twitter all-stars. Just type in my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, or at Hacksaw1090. Hit the follow button. Every time I put something up on X, you'd then get the alert as to what I'm writing about, what I think, and challenging you on the Twitter mini polls that I put out. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will get the alerts every time we put additional videos up, and we do that multiple times a week in addition to the Monday and Thursday podcast. So there's lots of ways to join us on social media. And by the way, you can help us make this thing grow. We have just busted through the 8,000 subscriber mark, which is just amazing for 2+ years. Give us a thumbs up. That helps us a great deal. Give us a 5-star rating. That helps us a great deal too. Did I cover it all?
You cover it all, man.
Okay. We're going lots of different directions. Hold on to your chair. Put your helmet on. We're going to say some things here that are going to get some people excited. Let's talk Major League Baseball.
Baseball. Okay, now the Padres. Let's kick it off with the Padres because they finally won on Sunday, but that was an ugly loss Saturday night.
I know Padre fans are excited by virtue of the win over Arizona. Fernando Tatis had quite a weekend. He has not had a weekend like that in a long period of time. Tatis had 2 hits, and then 4 hits on Sunday. That's a pretty good weekend for El Nino. At the same time, Machado is Machado. Nick Pivetta with, I thought, just a phenomenal pitching performance along the way. Arise had an RBI double trying to hit his way out of a bad stretch. Xander Bogaerts had an RBI double trying to hit his way out of a bad season. They lost Jackson Merrill on a really screwball play, a really fluke play, but he's got a concussion. The head first slide got hit right on the dome with the glove. Was not an intent to injure play defensively by the Arizona shortstop on the attempted stolen base. but he's on the concussion list. This came on the heels of Robert Suarez having a really bad weekend, 5 hits, 5 runs, that 9th inning meltdown on Saturday. Here's the bigger issue, and this headline kind of fits where we're going. The Padres are very different than the Dodgers right now. We're going to talk about the Dodgers in a minute and the stories that are breaking left, right, and everywhere involving Dodger baseball. The Padres are hanging on for dear life, and they open this 4-game series at Dodger Stadium tonight. Yu Darvish throws an 18-pitch bullpen session, clocked at 94. Next up, maybe a simulated game, which would mean maybe he'd try to throw 2 to 3 innings. The issue, though, his velocity has gone from 97 down to 93. He's not talking about discomfort yet. He says he just doesn't know how his elbow is going to react when he actually does max effort stuff. So there's a question mark about Yu Darvish. Michael King, they're indicating now, might have a herniated disc in his neck. That's what's causing the shoulder impingement. They don't seem to have a solution because maybe they don't know the trigger point for the shoulder impingement. I am surprised this far into the process, he's not been given an injection, a cortisone, to calm down whatever the inflammation is there. Has not happened yet. He looks like he is not going to be back till well after the All-Star break because he's doing nothing baseball related at all. We've talked about the innings, the quality innings the Padres have gotten. I don't know where the hell they'd be without the quality innings from Randy Vasquez, from Stephen Kolek, and from the kid Ryan Burgett. Mm-hmm. But the issue is, John, in 9 collective starts between those guys, the last 3 starts of each of those 3 guys, 9 starts, those guys have gone only 43 innings. That's just a shade over 4 innings per start.
Right.
You can't have your rotation going 4 innings per start. The workload leads to bullpen burnout. Maybe there's a phone call coming. Matt Waldron had another really decent rehab outing. I think he's had 7 of them now at AA and AAA. His ERA is in the 4s. Maybe they need to bring him up and just plug him in and see if they can buy some innings from Waldron. Brian Hoeing, his ERA is like 8.64. He's not ready to come. It's obvious Kyle Hart is not the answer. His ERA is now pushing 4, giving up home runs in the Pacific Coast League. And of course, he gave up a lot of home runs here with the Padres. I got an issue for you, though. They just called up first baseman, outfielder, whom they signed off the Giants in the offseason. Sitting .314 with 14 bombs at El Paso. His name's Tristan Brooks. Mm-hmm. Why not put him at first base? Move a Rise to second, because Luis has shown he can play there. Take Cronenworth, give him a left fielder's glove, let him go out and see if he can provide some offense and be better defensively rather than left field by committee, because I just don't think it works. Jason Hayward's about to come off the disabled list. You can only have so many games on a rehab assignment, but he's not hitting. I think he's got 2 hits and 15 at-bats at AAA El Paso. He was hitting $176 here. And Campusano looks lost. He's now had 24 plate appearances since they brought him up. They refused to let him catch. He has no hits in 24 plate appearances. So that's where the Padres are. I think they need to make a phone call. And Waldron's probably the next in line. Give him a chance to give you some quality innings here. And then if Brooks is here, maybe experiment with him at first and see if he can hit. Move a Rise and put Cronenworth in left field. You buy any of that? Start with Darvish, work your way through Michael King. My phone call I'm making to El Paso, talk about first, second, left field. John, podium is yours.
In so many ways, the Padres pitching, challenges are so similar to the Dodgers, but it's just the Dodgers have so much more depth and so much more money. So you figure you have a 5-man rotation, but you're going to have 8 or 9, maybe 10 guys throughout the year cycling through. The fact that Darvish coming back would be terrific, but I heard that the challenge is that he could throw well, but it was just the recovery. And would he still be fresh for the 5th, to start 5 days later, or might he have to be in like a Shohei Ohtani once a week kind of a thing?
They don't know he doesn't know how his elbow is going to react. I don't know if there's an arthritic condition there, but he's 38, 39 years of age. It may be realistically the end of the road. I mean, he can crank 97 in a bullpen, but that's 97 over 18 pitches. That's not trying to go 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah.
And how's he going to feel the days after? Because that's where the problem was. So, I mean, there's a great unknown there. What's your thought on this whole Michael King situation?
They're all going to die. The Padres are doomed. This is what we always hear from you. So the Michael King thing is weird. I agree with you. And it could be, I've had a pinched nerve in my neck, and that wreaks holy hell on your shoulder and arm. So hopefully he gets that straightened out. But you're right. It's just a mystery.
It's been a long process. And the fact that they've not really been able to diagnose it with a game plan to treat it, we're still in that gray area. And that gray area is gone for what? More than a month.
Yeah. So it's bizarre. But to your other point with, Vasquez and Kolek and this kid Berger, I'm kind of enjoying watching him. Now, Vasquez, if you notice the last 2 games, he was taken out after 4 2/3 innings, both times, where he was in a position, if I recall, to get the win if he would just get one more out. So it seemed like, I remember in the Dodger game when Vasquez was pitching is when they came around the lineup for the 3rd time and Ohtani was going to bat. And that's when they pulled Vasquez. So, they're going to need more depth from those pitchers, like you said. But Vasquez has been wonderful.
He's been more trustworthy than I thought he would be.
He started off shaky as usual, like last year. He's more trustworthy. Kolek has shown us a lot of promise. This Berger kid, I'm really impressed with him. Scrapper. And then you imagine you work in a Waldron in there, and then King and Darvish are going to take a little more time, and then and then by the time you get to August, September, hopefully all your pitching is healthy and ready to go.
Does a left fielder's glove look different than a second baseman's glove? Could Cronenworth play out there? Would he be different and better than what they're trying to do?
He could hit better than the left fielder, that's for sure. And over Tyler Wade or whomever they have. But you figure you already don't have Jackson Merrill in center. You're going to be putting Brandon Lockridge, and you sure that's when you want to throw, Cronenworth out on the left. And now 2 of your 3 outfield positions are like, well, I don't know. You don't know what to expect. And besides, I think Cronenworth would be a little bit peeved by the whole thing. I could see him being kind of pissy about being demoted to left field. So, but what are the alternatives? There are none. I mean, why not trade for Luis Robert? Why don't we get like one of these guys?
John, that's $15 million a year. Payroll is topped out. They are not going to let Preller make a deal to bring on a $15 million contract, who, by the way, is hitting 177 and has had a second straight bad summer after last season's wretched summer.
Yeah. But that sounds like what we're paying, what we're getting from our left fielders today.
Collectively?
Yeah. But Hayward, bless his heart, great man. It's time for him, I think, to hang up the spikes. And we tried the Yuli Gurriel. That didn't work. We tried all these guys in left field, and we keep, nothing pans out.
So the Padres are going to Dodger Stadium. Okay, so that's all things San Diego. And if you wish to join the Fans Forum chat box, go ahead. Feel free to use the word hater. I'm just presenting the facts as I view them with an opinion. They were 14-3, and since that point in time, they're like 25-28. That's not what I'd call pennant contending baseball, but that's a byproduct of injuries.
The people on social media are just tearing you apart because they think you're so damn negative with the Padres.
I'm just dealing with the facts.
Okay. They're only 2 games out. What are you screaming about? You get us a lot of reaction like that online.
Wonder what it'll be like Thursday if this doesn't go well this week.
Yeah, like Thursday night. You thinking they could get swept up at Chavez Ravine?
You use that word? Haters. Direct your venom toward. He just used the word
man.
sweep.
Tatis is back. He's hitting again. Man, he's going to go to Dodger Stadium. It's going to be a great week.
Fans Forum chat box is open. Longtime followers and haters invited to join me with an opinion. Feel free. Jump in right now. Get in line. We go from Dodger baseball. Next topic on the table, the guys are going to play beginning tonight.
Yeah, the LA Dodgers, and there's a surprise coming at the mound, right, Lee?
Yeah, let's just talk about the Dodgers and a whole bunch of different dimensions to the Dodgers. They win 2 of 3 against San Francisco. Ohtani, who was cooling off at home plate, comes back, hits a couple of home runs on Saturday, goes 3 for 3 in the Sunday game. On the mound, Tyler Glasnow goes 2 more innings in a bullpen session, clocked at 94. They think he's ready now for a simulated start. Blake Snell throws 20 in the bullpen, but he's ways away. They're activating Emmett Sheehan, who spent 13 months coming back from forearm and elbow surgery. Sheehan's had 4 rehab outings, has an ERA of under 4.00. The bad news is Roki Sasaki. He's got it now. They've diagnosed it as an impingement in the shoulder. He had an injection over the weekend. He is in total shutdown mode right now. This looks like this is going to be a large chunk of a lost season for him because he's not comfortable. They think they've been able to solve what was causing the problem with the shoulder impingement and the injection, but only time is going to tell there. And then, of course, the story that broke after the game against the Giants on Sunday, the announcement, Shohei Ohtani back in the rotation. Ohtani had 5 bullpen sessions. They had ramped him up. They handled him with kid gloves. Initially, they said showtime would start right after the All-Star break, but he's gotten so progressively better. Now he's throwing max effort, clocked at 97, threw 44 pitches on Friday. They were planning another bullpen session, and instead he said, no, I'm ready to pitch. He is going to start in what's going to be a bullpen day tonight against the Padres. I mean, it will be electric. But they're confident because he's done everything they've asked. His pitch count has gone up. His velo has gone up. And he's going to start and probably go 1 inning or maybe 2, depending whether or not there's any stress at all. He's ready, and they desperately need him. Because what's happened in the last week, as these injuries just continue to spill out, the Dodgers have had, out of their 5-man rotation, twice in the 5 days, they went to bullpen games. And they got a problem with Yash Yamamoto. He looks really fatigued. He's had 3 bad starts in a row. And they're trying now, they're going to come up with a plan to spread this out so he gets 6 days rest.
Yeah.
They went back and did a statistical study. When he's pitching on 4 or 5 days rest, his ERA is almost 5.00. When he's pitching on a 6-day rest like he did in Japan, his major league ERA is 0.97.
Whoa, that's a huge difference.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
So they're going to try to devise a plan, and maybe that's why this Ohtani thing now comes into the equation. And the intangible thing about Ohtani, Major League Baseball, we talked about this last week, 26-man roster. Max limit, 13 pitchers on your 26-man roster. But Ohtani is a designated hitter on the roster who happens to pitch. So in essence, the Dodgers will compete with a 14-man pitching rotation because Ohtani's a dual guy. How unique is that situation?
Hey, Dodgers exploiting loopholes, you know.
Oh, here we go. Or actually, the true statistic is 14 and a half pitchers because you got Kike Hernandez too.
Oh, yeah. You want to count him. Okay.
His batting helmet.
Okay.
So that's where we are, all things Dodgers baseball. Your response to Showtime coming back. Ready? Dodgers panicking? Or have they handled this correctly? Your response.
I think it's going to be cool. You know, and I heard this, I saw the ticket prices for Dodger Stadium were skyrocketing today. And by the way, it's interesting. We were talking about the Padres and Yu Darvish. He's got to do a rehab assignment. Not Ohtani. Ohtani, man, he goes right to the show. You know, he's going to throw, and I imagine he's going to be an opener, right? Maybe 1 or 2 innings.
Max.
Yeah. So, which is cool. I mean, this is exciting. And so, you know, do you notice that the Ohtani's ERA against the Padres, because when he was pitching for the Angels, is 9.00.
That was years ago, though.
Yeah, I remember Xander Bogaerts took him yard, left field, Petco Park.
That was years ago.
Yeah, we'll see what he's like now, man. You know, this is going to be a lot of fun. This makes the series all the more entertaining. Everyone's bringing their superheroes in. It's going to be just going to be must-see TV all 4 nights in a row.
So as we get to this next segment, here's the question of the day. What is the difference between Dodger baseball at this hour and Padre baseball at this hour? The difference is the Dodgers have Kershaw back. Ohtani is coming back. Dustin May is already back. Half the bullpen that was on the DL is now back. And the Padres are wondering about Darvish and wondering about Michael King and wondering if they should make a phone call for Matt Waldron. The Padres are operating here the Dodgers are operating up here. That's the difference between these two
That's
teams.
exactly right. I mean, it's exactly right. If the Padres are trying to do the same strategy by having a pipeline of guys, but
their pipeline is empty compared to the Dodgers.
Correct.
Pipeline.
Yeah, the Dodgers have a full faucet blasting water. They're ready to go.
So I'm piling on, and you're heaping praise on the Dodgers, and I'm piling on the Padres.
No, well, you are doom and gloom with the Padres. You are. I mean, you
out of the same mouth a couple months ago came the phraseology, the Dodger way no longer works because of all the pitching injuries.
Yeah. And then people on Instagram are convinced that you wear Dodger blue underwear or pajamas to bed. They think you're in bed with the Dodgers.
Can't please them all. But thanks for following, because that's the most important aspect. Okay. So that's Padres. That's Dodgers. Is there a difference you see between Dodger baseball and where the Padres are right now? Fans Forum chat box is open. There's no reason in the world for you to sit here and just listen and view. You should participate. Fans, look at the, we have it on our screen. Holy cow, this thing is blowing up. Should cancel the rest of the show and just go to Fans Forum.
Yeah, we probably could. We just keep going.
Okay, so that's all things Padres, Dodgers. Feel free, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. We're not done with baseball. Next topic, and I'm surprised. I am surprised you didn't call me. You didn't text me. Hell, I'm surprised you and our mascot Sniffer didn't get in a car and come into my house and say, wow, look at what my Giants just did.
Well, I could depend on you because you have the high-speed sports ticker back at home, and you're always getting updates. This guy, he texts me. This is the greatest thing because I get sports updates on my phone text, personal direct sports updates. And it's fantastic. I get like the out-of-town scoreboard from Hacksaw sometimes.
Yeah. So anyhow, next topic here. Let's go through the baseball notebook.
Okay, here we go. Big trade.
This was a shocker. And I will tell you in the 617 area code right now, they are really pissed. Red Sox fan. Boston trades Ralph Devers. His batting average, his home runs, his big contract, and his bad attitude. They go to San Francisco in a 4-for-1 trade. I don't think that they got equal value immediately. And I think the thing that really galls everybody that goes to Fenway Park at this hour, the Red Sox just beat the holy hell out of the Yankees in back-to-back series. And then they turn around and they trade their big bat, their veteran all-star MVP bat, Ralph Devers, to San Francisco. They get young left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison. They get relief pitcher Jordan Hicks, who they tried to make a starter, had some good times and not good times, but he'll help Boston. Harrison has kind of regressed as a young left-hander, is back in the minor leagues. They get themselves the #1 draft pick from a year ago, kid in Class A ball. It's hitting like 245 with 12 home runs already in his first half season in organized ball, and they get a very good rookie league pitcher. But they don't get stuff that's going to keep them in the American League East pennant race right now. The Giants get a monster bat. They get him after the acquisition of Willy Adames. And the rest of that roster, the pitching staff's really good. It's been lacking offensively. It's been anemic. But now you add Rafael Devers to it. Now, I'm going to throw this question at you. And don't say that I'm hating on the Giants now. Devers put up phenomenal numbers. But that was Fenway Park. That's the pesky foul pole. That's the green monster. He's going to Oracle Park, where even Barry Bonds would tell you I couldn't hit in this damn place. So will Devers' statistics be influenced by going to San Francisco and playing in that yard rather than Fenway Park? So what do you think about the trade? Who won the deal? Does the location impact Devers more than anybody's paying any attention to? Go ahead.
I think this is a huge win-win-win-win. Devers wins. The players that got traded to Boston wins, okay? And the Giants win. I mean, everyone seems to be so much better off by this deal. I mean, start with the Red Sox. Devers has turned into a cancer, bad energy, lots of, public shaming on social media. They're kind of underwater on that contract. It wasn't an attractive deal. So let's just get rid of him. And, they got Marcelo Meyer, the kid from Eastlake High School in Chula Vista, and he's like a shortstop. He could probably play third. So they've got other guys.
They got Roman Anthony. They're going to get Cassis back next year. I mean, they've got a real dynamic collection of young kids, but they're really young.
But then they have Bregman too, don't they?
Well, he's still on the DL.
Yeah, so Bregman will eventually come back. So it's going to be fine. They're going to be able to replace Devers in the field, and maybe not all of the bat, but I'll tell you what, that Harrison kid from the Giants is a hell of a prospect. He was like the Giants' #1 for the last few years. And, you know, they kind of unload that Jordan Hicks deal because that hasn't really panned out for San Francisco. So I see this as a huge win for both teams. And now suddenly the Giants are even more competitive, but they've already got a third baseman. You know, they've got, what's his name? Matt Chapman. Yeah. So now Devers is going to have to do the same thing.
Well, he's going to be the DH, and Wilmer Flores is going to first base. That's what I was told.
Okay.
But my cousin from Boston emailed me and said, yeah, these are the same people, Fenway Sports Group, John Henry, the new general manager, Craig Breslow. These are the same people that traded away Chris Sale, traded away Mookie Betts, traded away Adrian Gonzalez. They're making Boston a mid-size market rather than its New England version of Evil Empire, because they pared the payroll down a great deal.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, the Red Sox and the Padres are similar as the Yankees and Dodgers are. I mean, I can totally see that. But, you know, think about this. The other angle is that the Dodgers got Mookie. We got Xander. Now Devers goes to the Giants. So they all go to the NL West. But someone online said, you know what, though, the Padres made out the best because we also got Don Orsillo. And that's kind of a cool comment.
That's true. But Orsillo doesn't pitch every fifth day nor hit.
Oh, I've seen him play second base, man.
Not well either. Okay, that's all things. You're a baseball fan. Red Sox, Giants. Who got the best of this deal? This was a shocker.
Big time. And
the fact that it happened, what did your dumbass co-host say to you last Thursday about here comes a trade deadline?
Oh, yeah.
I said, new breed of general managers making trades a lot earlier. They're not waiting until July 31st. So San Francisco gets Rafael Devers now. They're going to get him for 6 weeks before the trade deadline.
Yeah, young GM Buster Posey breaking out.
Okay, next topic here. Major League Baseball.
Okay, yeah, here we got the notebook, and we got a couple more teams to cover.
Washington. I don't know why he'd say this. Maybe fans would stand up in the nation's capital and say, way to go, Dave Martinez. Man, it creates some real problems in the clubhouse. Washington is struggling. They just don't have enough pitching. Washington's got a lot of good young players in their everyday lineup, led by a whole bunch of guys that the Padres dealt in the Juan Soto deal. But they're not winning consistently. They're struggling, scuffling to get to 500. Dave Martinez said last night, stop blaming the coaches and the manager. The players win or lose games. It came from Dave Martinez, threw his players under the bus. You're 37-38, and it's on you. It's not on the coaches and on the manager, Dave Martinez. So that's a bit of a stunner. Yankees. Well, Aaron Judge had a bad weekend. 1 for 12 for Aaron Judge. Struck out 9 times. Help's on the way, though. Yankees play the Angels tonight at New York. And Giancarlo Stanton is activated after hitting .351 in rehab. He, of course, had the double elbow problems in spring training with the torn tendons in both elbows because he swung a leaded bat all winter long. Anyhow, Stanton is back. So now you got Judge, Stanton, and the 300 hitting Paul Goldschmidt. So Yankees are feeling a little bit better about themselves. Big setback Mets. Mets have been a real surprise to me. I just didn't think they have enough pitching to do this, but they're hitting really well without Juan Soto. But the Mets lose Kodai Senga. Disabled list, hamstring. Yeah. He's the ace of their staff. That's the second injury he's had this season. So we'll see if the Mets give ground because they don't have a hell of a lot of pitching. Not a lot of sexy names in that Mets rotation, but they lose Kodai Senga. So anything about Dave Martinez throwing his players under the bus?
You know, he might be right, but you just don't say that. And, it's interesting because when we listen to the post-game pressers from Mike Schilt, he goes out of his way not to throw his guys under the bus, and you'll find people to praise. So, But it is interesting too, because we've been, going through a little bit of buyer's remorse on that Soto deal with the Nationals, seeing all of our former Padres doing well, but now we're hearing that maybe they're not doing as well.
They don't have enough.
Okay.
That's more than just C.J. Abrams or Robert Woods or James Woods or Hassel, or they just don't have enough players there, and that's on Mike Rizzo and the organization.
Did you see the Senga injury?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, he went to cover first base and he had to lunge and then move his leg back, and that was like who made the throw? It was the polar bear, Pete Alonso, I think.
Yeah, the first baseman picked the ball up and flipped it to the pitcher running to the bag, trying to stretch back.
Just the pitchers are so tightly wound, like any little weirdness gets them injured.
Okay, that's all things baseball. Fans Forum chat box is open. Notably, talk about the Red Sox San Francisco Giants deal. Let's move on. This is Monday Bonus Podcast continues. We're talking hoops.
Test of wills. Oklahoma City, Indiana.
We move on. It's going to be interesting. Oklahoma City versus the Indiana Pacers. This thing is now tied at 2-2. I can't stand NBA games in the season. I know you get excited to see Sacramento play the Portland Trail Blazers on a Thursday in November.
Yeah.
But, everybody bitches about all they do in the regular season is shoot threes, travel with the ball. Nobody plays a look at defense and get all the crapola between the players and the refs and the players and the fans. And tell you what, you get to postseason, it's like they flip a light switch. Boy, the intensity level is really something. And this playoff series has really been good. I don't know how Indiana thinks they can defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander every trip down the floor. In game 4, when they were losing, Indiana had just body banged him all over the place, and yet he came out in the fourth quarter and scored 15 points in the fourth stanza en route to a 35-point night. They just kept clearing out, letting him go to the basket, and he made enough baskets for them to win. They disrupted Halliburton to the point that the lead that Indiana had just really went away. And then you get OKC, they're just attacking the basket. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen Jalen Williams catch a pass off a pick, go into the paint, to the rack, and put it up.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
All the time.
Indiana, they're going to have to change some things. I think what Indiana has to do to help Halliburton is actually run the offense through Pascal Siakam. I think that's got to change. I think 43 is good enough to create buckets off his own, and that would then force Oklahoma City to do something defensively because Pascal is still dynamic. And if you force them to have to defend Siakam, that's going to mean Halliburton's going to get better looks at the basket. So I think that's got to happen. Indiana has to hit threes, has to hit more threes than they have. Their last game, they were miserable shooting from the arc. And Indiana's got to stop the penetration. Indiana's got a lot of fouls to use. They need to put guys on the floor in the paint. If they think they're going to attack the rim, they need to hack them and whack them and foul them along the way. So, and the other thing is Chet Holmgren looks so different right now than he did at the start of this championship series. He looked intimidated. He looked overwhelmed. His last 2.5 to 3 games, he's been vibrant offensively. So I'll tell you, this Oklahoma City-Indiana series has really been good basketball, with apologies to your bad choices. It's not Sacramento-Portland on a Thursday night in November. So what do you think about the series?
It's been a lot of fun to watch, and I kind of go back and forth on who I'm rooting for to win. But now we go 2-2, so our series is tied. It's a 3-game, essentially, and OKC's got home court advantage back. I think it's going to be terrific. But, this Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we learn more about him. I'm seeing him a lot more. But he plays dirty sometimes. I've seen him, shoot a 3 and then, kick a guy's leg. Or he'll, do these, Michael Jordan travels. And he doesn't seem to be called for them.
Then he'll lean into you with his shoulder and then do the fade back jumper. I mean, he's slick. He's really good. Yeah. And yet he gets body slammed all the time. He doesn't – I'll say this about him. Other guys whine and cry. He didn't pay attention to the refs. Okay, so I got whacked in this one. Next possession belongs to me.
Yeah. And then, but to Chet Holmgren, it's kind of cool to see that he's having great success because when he was at Gonzaga, we just saw this like daddy long leg spider guy and who was hella good, who could hit threes, but you always wondered that kind of a frame you didn't think was going to work in the NBA. But what's happened is the whole NBA has changed. There's no Shaquille's and Charles Barkley's anyways. Everyone's going toward more athletes, lean and long. And so Holmgren is thriving.
So we got that series, OKC, Indiana. We'll talk about the TV ratings in a little bit, but they move on now. Now it's best of 3. 2 of them, though, are going to be in Oklahoma City. Next basketball topic, we talked about what happened on Sunday, was this one.
Yeah, a big trade, blockbuster, Orlando and the Memphis Grizzlies.
This was a stunner because it happened so early leading into the draft. Memphis traded Desmond Bane, who I think is a vastly underrated three-point shooting guard, plays defense, traded him to Orlando for veteran guard Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's been a winner in LA with the Lakers, winner in Denver, Cole Anthony, young shooting guard, and 4 future number 1 draft picks. All that for Desmond Bane. That sounds like a lot. Is Bane a superstar MVP guy? No, but he's a really good guard, plays defense, and shoots lights out, almost 40% from the three-point line. And that's the one thing that Orlando has been missing. When you think Orlando, you think Banchero, Franz Wagner, Moritz Wagner, Jalen Suggs. And now you add this guy, Desmond Bane. I think it's a hell of an acquisition. They paid a big price, but Orlando they think they've now got all the components to really be an explosive team in the East. And that's the one thing they didn't have. They were the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA last season. And now they get Desmond Bane, who I tend to think is a really good basketball player. So I thought that was a hell of a trade.
Bane seems like one of those guys that performs sort of outside the radar. We don't see a lot of those games.
Well, all the attention is also on Ja Morant.
Yeah, exactly. But I saw the deal, the way it was listed. I was like, that's a hell of a lot to give up. But I'm just thinking, like, how long has it been since the Orlando Magic have been like kind of relevant? You have to go back to like Shaq and Little Penny. Remember the Little Penny commercials?
That's right.
I love those. But when Penny Hardaway was there, I mean, that was like in the early 90s.
Yep. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I think they've got every component there is. Okay, next topic involves another trade, and we're waiting for the phone to ring, and your text message will ring if this deal comes down. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Valley of the Sun, Kevin Durant in the news.
This deal's going to happen. Now, the question is, where is it going to go? I'm going to give you a couple different angles that I've gotten from the people I network with. It looks like Durant has told the Phoenix Suns, I will waive my no-trade clause if you send me to either San Antonio or Houston. He wants to play for one of those two teams. Both those teams are looking. They're very good, very young, with lots of picks. Both are looking for a veteran front court guy, and that front court guy would be Kevin Durant. However, there's another story that's out there that's just kind of breaking. Miami and the LA Clippers have both made offers, in addition to Toronto, to Phoenix, to try to get into the bidding at the last minute. Durant has not told the Phoenix Suns that he would go to Canada. He's not told them he would accept a deal to a Miami team that's kind of threadbare in talent. And I'm not quite sure what the Clippers have that they can really offer to make a Durant to LA deal seem viable. But that's where we are right now. Durant wants to go to San Antonio or Houston, but now we got a total of 5 teams, Clippers, Miami, Toronto, over the weekend, made offers to Phoenix to try to get in on the bidding at the last minute. Durant is going to be moved. He's going to be moved before the draft. What do you think?
Well, those 2 spots he wants to land, Houston, San Antonio, nice places to go, good chance to win.
A lot of good young players.
But do you get the sense that, I don't think anyone questions Durant's skill, even at his age. He's
36.
He's still productive. But does he have an attitude issue? Is there a chemistry issue that you think some teams might be arm's length?
Does the offense have to run through him? I think that's a big basis of conversation. But, from a Phoenix standpoint, they'd get rid of a $54 million salary. He's got 1 year left on his contract.
That's big.
The guy that trades for him is going to have to do an extension, but they seem to believe they do. But please tell me who the Clippers have that they could offer. Because Durant here with Harden and Zubac and Kawhi, that'd be great. But who the Clippers got to trade? I don't see that as being a matchable transaction.
Well, yeah, I mean, they probably have some future number ones, unlike the Lakers, who seems to have the cupboard bare. So I don't know, but the Clippers got him. That would be really special.
So Toronto's got a very high lottery pick. Toronto's got a ton of young guards, but does Durant want to go to Canada? Remains to be seen. So if you're into the NBA, go ahead. You play general manager. You like Durant? Does he fit? Where does he fit? Fans forum chat box is open. Last topic as it relates to the NBA, the notebook.
The NBA notebook. Talk about the Knicks.
This is absolutely amazing. So you fire your coach, right? The Knickerbockers fire their coach, Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau takes out an ad in the New York tabloids thanking the fans for their support.
Nice.
Does not mention the owner, James Dolan, does not mention the president, general manager, who fired him. Wow, that tells you volumes about the interference in New York. Now we find out the Knicks have called 5 different NBA teams asking for permission to interview established coaches. The report today, 3 of the 5 teams hung up on the Knicks. Didn't even reject him. Hung up on James Dolan's people. They're going to interview Mike Brown, the ex-coach of the Kings. I should say the Sacramento Kings, the LA Lakers, Cleveland Cavaliers. Very good track record. He's the first one that's going to be interviewed. Dallas took the phone call, and Dallas's response is, we want a draft pick if you're going to talk to Jason Kidd. And if you hire Jason Kidd, we want an additional pick, which would be a number 1.
Oh, wow.
End of conversation there. They called Houston. Houston said no. They called the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls hung up on them. So the Knickerbockers don't have a head coach, and we're a week out from the NBA draft. So there's that story. Denver. I don't know whether this is good or bad news. Denver, obviously, with the Joker. Pretty good group of players around him. Say goodbye to Russell Westbrook. He opts out of his contract. He's going to go back on the open market. Now, is that good news or bad news? Because Westbrook, as vibrant a player as he can be, is also vibrant distraction. And he didn't play real well in Denver this past season. 13 points, 6 rebounds per game for the Nuggets. But when they needed him the most, he was busy feuding with the fans, feuding with the media, feuding with referees. So he's opted out in Denver. Clippers. This might be a deal that they might do. Clippers are talking to Boston about veteran guard Jrue Holiday. That's strictly a contract dump. He's got 3 years, $104 million total left on his contract, 32-year-old guard. The Clippers think they can get Jrue Holiday dirt cheap, and that guy is still an established, pretty good basketball player who could run the floor with Harden, etc., play some defense, etc. That'd be a nice 4th component, if you would, to Clipper basketball. So you got Jrue Holiday there. Charlotte Hornets. Say goodbye, Malachi Flynn.
Oh, man.
Signed a contract. He's going to go play in China.
All right.
Now, he's been with 5 teams in the league, in the NBA. We always wondered, well, he had these spurts he'd play okay, but always wound up on waivers, and he wound up in the G League. And then Charlotte signed him out of the G League, and he never got on the floor. I think he got tired of being a piece of baggage. So he's gone abroad. He's going to sign to play in China.
Make some bank.
Definitely. And who's he going to play with? Former San Antonio backup center, ex-Aztec Nathan Mensah, who was also signed in China.
Oh, right on.
So that's the latest all things basketball. So if I get a phone call here and it says area code 212, which is New York Knicks, I should just disconnect it before I even answer it. I can't find a coach. Nobody wants to work for James Dolan. How absurd is that?
Because there's so much stress too. Being in New York, it'd be the focus and attention, and you wonder, do they have the resources to make it work? To your point, do they have a good owner that's going to be, going to work with the general manager and the head coach? I don't know, but Mike Brown doesn't sound so bad. I mean,
I think he's a good coach. He's been in a lot of weirdo situations with superstars, but the guy's done a good job. You hire him in New York, the player's going to walk all over him. I happen to think Jalen Brunson's one of the best guards in the NBA. Nobody ever talks about it.
Well, just kind of take a step back. Do you think, at least I think this to be true, tell me what you do think, does a head coach in college have a greater impact on the trajectory of the team, or does a head coach in the NBA make a bigger impact on the team?
The players run the league.
That's what I thought.
Players run the organization. So I just answered your question.
So that's why it'd be good to get someone like Mike Brown, who's steady Eddie, has experience. He's not necessarily a spectacle that's going to take the limelight away from their star players.
But they got to run a system. They got to do what he wants done in terms of X's and O's, and some NBA teams don't. But I guess the thing that just blows my mind, and the Knickerbockers under James Dolan have had no success. And the Knickerbockers keep firing coaches. How do you fire a coach, John, and not have a ready list of guys that you're going to go to that want to come work for you? And here they are walking around the street corner and on Times Square with the tin cup with the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
Throw some money in here so I can go hire a. It's absurd.
It is absurd.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's all things NBA basketball. You got an opinion? Throw an opinion in our direction. This fans forum chat box is just exploding.
It is.
Nobody likes John's opinions. Nobody likes the way John is dressed. So feel free, just pile on the co-host today.
We've already got people. Well, maybe we'll show some of the comments in fans forum.
Thank you very much. Hey, we get to halftime, our Monday bonus podcast, having fun with you, the fans. This podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. I got to tell you a story. It is really bloody hot. It was 99 degrees out in my driveway today as I was coming over here. I mean, it was just, the heat has arrived. Summer's arrived. I'm not ready for it. We haven't turned the air conditioning on in my house yet. My house is cool. Why? Windows, doors, fully sealed from Dixieline. That's who Dixieline Lumber is. It's just not a lumber yard, but what they can do for your home. I'm so pleased with windows and doors. I mean, think about that. We are in the middle of June. I have yet to turn my air conditioning unit on because my house is so cool. Do we keep it closed up? Yeah. Do we keep it shuttered with the blinds closed? Yeah. It seems like we're antisocial in our neighborhood? Well, maybe we are, but we're also cool inside. While everybody else has got kids running in and out and the doors open and you're air conditioning the damn driveway because they leave the front door open. I've been there. I've done that. I experienced all that. But that's what Dixieline's all about, doors and windows in addition to everything else.
Yeah, it's a huge part of their business. And it's a very competitive marketplace. If you want to get new windows or doors installed, Dixieline's always seems to have some kind of discounts, programs going, so you can check them out. And by the way, the reps, the sales reps and the consultants, the designers are really good at coming out. They come out and measure your place in advance, talk about some various options, make some recommendations. And then when they come in, they're like, really tidy. They come in and they'll clean it all up. And when they're done, it's perfect when they're finished.
Yeah, I was absolutely amazed. Dixieline Lumber. You may not need doors and windows right now, but maybe you will, or maybe you're thinking about it. Give them a look-see. Go to Dixieline.com just to see all the things they have to offer. Hey, this podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber. A reminder, when we're done with topics on the table and our opinions, you are going to take over this podcast because you've made this thing a raging success. You don't like the podcast? Blame the followers. We have 8,000 subscribers in 2 years on this podcast. But John, for everybody who's new, just explain how Fans Forum works.
Yeah, Fans Forum is your chance to get involved. I love sharing people's names. Mike, James, Run DMC, and Roy, and Casey, and Hector, and John, and Efrain, and Just Good Sports, and Julio, and the O-Siders.
A lot of first-timers.
Yeah, there's a lot of new names in the list. We're going to get to definitely all the new names.
You better be good. We're not going to give you the Rookie of the Year award if you're not good with your take. But join us. Fans Forum chat box will be open when we're done with topics on the table. A couple of other business notes. If you like sports, I want you to read my website. I write on it every day of the week. If you just might be a baseball fan, that's okay. There's a big baseball notebook section. Might be into the NBA and the playoffs or the NHL. All things NFL as training camps are getting ready to open. We cover auto racing, tennis, golf, etc. LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's there every day. Want you to share, tell everybody what we do on this podcast Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get the alerts every time we put something up on the YouTube channel, and we do that multiple times during the course of the week. Also want you to join me on social media. I put an awful lot of stuff on X. It's called my Twitter All-Star Team. Want you to jump on board there. Just type in my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, hit the follow button, or use my handle at Hacksaw1090. Hit the follow button every time I put something up. You'll be able to know it. And, of course, give us a thumbs up. That really helps us. Give us a 5-star rating. That helps us, too. Cover it all?
We cover the world of sports, and you cover the world of all the necessary business items that we have to cover with our great audience.
We're going to the National Football League next. Second half of the Monday Bonus podcast is about to begin. John, where do you want to start?
Yeah, we'll start here with the Chargers and then the Rams.
Okay, NFL OTAs are pretty much complete. Everybody's gone on vacation until mid-July. Then the players come to camp and all things NFL football. Really interesting quote, the aftermath of the final 3 days of the OTA workouts for the Chargers. It involves a wide receiver, Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is competing against Quentin Johnston for a job.
Yeah.
He's 2 years into his contract. They did not pick up the additional option on the contract. It's like he's hit a wall, and now he has to prove that he can stay on this roster. This team has built itself with additional pass-catching tight ends. They drafted 2 wide receivers, one of whom they really like. Quentin Johnston has been hot and cold during the OTA workouts, despite the fact he's there for a 3rd year. So keep an eye on that. This tight end from Syracuse is going to get playing time. His name is Aronde Gadsden, 6'5" kid who runs and catches stuff down the seam. And they had already signed a free agent tight end from the New York Jets that averaged 45 receptions per game. They love what they saw with Omari Hampton, the North Carolina running back. And the favorite quote that I have was when Jim Harbaugh. The question was asked about, what do you see in Najee Harris, the ex-Pittsburgh Steeler? He said 2 words, north-south. That's it.
Cool.
Take the ball, go.
Yeah.
Bang off people, yards after contact, etc.
More north than south.
Yeah. The Chargers are really kind of pleased. Do they have questions? I think they have questions. I do believe that Zion Johnson is going to be the starting center. Oddly enough, they're moving Brad Bozeman. He's taken more snaps at left guard. Johnson has moved over to center. To me, the big mystery is who's your defensive tackles. They had all these young kids, hardly any of them have played, because they lost Poona Ford, they lost Morgan Fox to free agency. So Chargers got unanswered questions there. And who do you replace Joey Bosa with? Tuilapototu, Pelotu, the kid out of USC, had a really vibrant rookie season, did not play as well in terms of pressures and sacks his second year. And again, they like him, but he was getting stuff while Bosa and Khalil Mack were on the field. So he was doing cleanup duty and getting the quarterbacks. Now he's got to be the guy in place of Joey Bosa. So that's a bit of an issue there with the Chargers. Rams, they don't need this. Now they got another problem in the offensive line. Alaric Jackson, starting left tackle, sidelined again, blood clots. Second time in 3 years he's had this blood clot problem surface. They've just signed journeyman left tackle DJ Humphries. He's been with the Arizona Cardinals forever. He's got 150,000 miles on his body. I don't know if that's the answer, but they got a problem at left tackle, and they'd already lost their right tackle, Joe Noteboom, who left as a free agent to go somewhere else. Raiders, man, they are going crazy over the arrival of Pete Carroll and all things that Pete Carroll's brought.
Cool.
Yeah. You got Pete Carroll. You got Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. You've got, obviously, Geno Smith. They are just sold beyond being sold about Ashton Genty and all the different things. They think they've got 2 tight ends that are both going to play at the same time. Kelly's doing crazy stuff in these OTA workouts. And he's running 2 tight end offenses and throwing to both of them, Brock Bowers and Mike Myers. And then they got Jacoby Myers as the deep pattern wide receiver. And they're signing guys defensively as 1-year free agents. They think they're going to be able to fix the back 7 of their defense, which was really weak. So there's a lot of things going on in the Raiders camp. And for the first time, you mark this date in history. For the first time, Hacksaw might agree with Raider fan. First time ever. But they've had a really great offseason, and they're filled a lot of problem spots. I think their offense is really going to be fun to work, and Chip Kelly's a mad scientist. So
they're back in black, baby.
Oh, now you want me to wear silver and silver and black. Do you think people have a heart attack if I wore silver and black one day?
It was tough enough seeing you wearing that Dodger hoodie.
Well, tougher than me seeing her wear a Charger hoodie?
Yeah.
Well, I do have silver and black gear that was given to me.
Yeah.
Would that be turncoat if I did that?
Well, some people got a little tweaked when they saw you wearing Chargers gear. But you were wearing Dodgers gear too. So
but they'd have a heart attack if I showed up in Raider gear.
Oh yeah, that would be like sacrilegious.
It'd be the end of the podcast, probably.
The whole world would blow up.
Maybe it wouldn't be the end of the podcast because everybody who's a Raider Nation fan would come to this podcast. Nah, don't challenge me to do that. That's fine. Another topic, Denver. They are really amped with what their offense looks year 2. Sean Payton, they signed J.K. Dobbins. They think that there are so many parameters to what J.K. Dobbins does. Running the football, power, toughness, extra gear, catching the ball out of the backfield. They think J.K. Dobbins is a really good player, and they took him from the Chargers in the division. That coupled with Evan Ingram, the pass-catching tight end, the former Giant Jacksonville guy who catches a bunch of stuff down the seam. They think their defensive front and their defensive front 7 is really good. And they got Patrick Surtain and their number 1 pick on the corner. They think Denver's defense is better than anybody in the world's given them credit for. And they do think J.K. Dobbins is going to add a lot to Bo Nix. So they're excited in Denver. And we just keep hearing strange thing after strange thing. Dateline is Cleveland. The Browns said at the end of their OTAs on Friday, they conceivably think they might carry all 4 quarterbacks on the active roster. I mean, Kenny Pickett's getting all the snaps, number 1. Flacco would be the insurance policy as the veteran, number 2. Gabriel has done so much in camp, throwing the football in 11-on-11s, that he merits time to stay on the active roster. And now they're talking about keeping Shedeur on the roster and growing him and not putting him on waivers with the hope nobody claim him so they could then flip him on developmental. They don't want to expose him to waivers because somebody else could grab him. 4 quarterbacks. I've never seen it in modern day NFL football, anybody going with 4 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. But in Cleveland, where anything is possible, that's what they're saying. Okay, John, go ahead and respond.
I just listening to you going through the Chargers and then the Rams and the Raiders and then even the Broncos, a lot of positive vibes within those camps. And I'm just thinking, man, that AFC West is going to be so tough.
Look at the coaches.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's going to be such a difficult division. But the Browns, it's fun to follow the drama. Everything Shedeur this, Shedeur that. And, even Dylan Gabriel is kind of an interesting guy to watch because he had all that success at Oregon. But yeah, you normally an NFL team has 3 quarterbacks on their roster, right? They got the
1, 2, and then the third emergency guy.
Yeah, and the third emergency guy doesn't count for their game day roster, right? Okay, so but it's just interesting because we've seen so much drama with the Chargers, so much drama with the Raiders, especially the Raiders. And now everyone's kind of getting their house in order, and it's kind of nice. And we've all known that the Rams were kind of, that standard bearer of a quality organization. I mean, could Mark Davis and Dean Spanos finally figure this out?
Well, Mark Davis was desperate after all those losing seasons for 22 years, or whatever the hell it's been. People are optimistic for the first time, realistic, I think, in Vegas. And the Chargers, under the new leadership of Joe Ortiz, have had back-to-back really good drafts. Haven't spent wild amounts of money in free agency. I think they're going to be dynamic offensively. I have reservations about who the Chargers are defensively. Only time will tell. So that's all things NFL. You're a pro football fan. Pick one of those topics if you wish. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Let's talk puck. We're almost at the end of the road with the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Your Hacksaw's headline day are just loaded.
Awful lot to talk about. Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers. They're moving now. Edmonton's in big trouble. They're down 3-2. Got beat at home. Got beat badly at home the other night. Edmonton plays Tuesday against the Florida Panthers. They trail 3-2. You may have Connor McDavid. You may have Leon Draisaitl. 2 superstars. You've done a good job adding players who are role players, second line, third line. Defense is deeper. The Oilers have been betrayed by goaltending. As good as Stuart Skinner can be in this chunk of time, there's these problems in postseason games where he gives up sloppy goals, cheap goals, bad goals, and they keep yanking him. I assume he's going to have to play in Game 6 in Florida because Calvin Pickard could not win for them in the last start. I think at the end of the day, Edmonton has to get to the end of this season, and I think Florida is going to win. Edmonton is going to have to go find somebody different in goal because this will be 3 years running that they've gotten deep into the postseason only to have the goaltending betray them along the way. So that's a big issue there. Big decision for this sixth game on Tuesday night. What do they do with the lines? What does Edmonton do? The rumor is that they may go back and reform what they call the nuclear line. They would put Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, pair them together, maybe with Evander Kane, go to a nuclear line and try to play them every other shift. That's how desperate they are to score goals at this point in time, because Florida's done a really good job matching people against McDavid and Draisaitl and have really slowed them down. So we're almost at the end of the finish line, and Edmonton has been, I think, betrayed by the goaltending. It's a big issue. We've been talking about the Ducks off season. You know, the Ducks have thrown their hat into the Mitch Marner ring, but at this point, they still have the money to do it. But at this point, maybe they don't do it. The Ducks pulled off this huge trade with the New York Rangers to get goal scorer Chris Kreider, former 50-goal scorer with the Rangers, 326 career goals, big guy, got 2 years left on his contract, grinder, bit of a sniper, bit of a team leader. That's the one thing that the Ducks have not had. Now they get Chris Kreider. I think that turns out to be a pretty good deal to get him from the New York Rangers. New bidder for Carolina. Report is next week. Carolina Hurricane, and they're really good. They're going to make a $14 million a year offer to Mitch Marner of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The deal would be 7 years, $98 million, all-time record. Now, Draisaitl in Edmonton is one of the highest paid players in the league. He's at $14 million. Is Marner better than Draisaitl? Draisaitl carries teams. Maple Leafs have never been to the Stanley Cup Finals. Hell, they can't get out of the Eastern Conference Finals, and Marner's been on that team for so long. Is Carolina going to pay Mitch Marner more than Edmonton pays Draisaitl? Keep that one going. Interesting story north of the border in Winnipeg. They got bumped out of the playoffs. They're looking for more goal scoring. There's a budgetary limit as to what they can spend. They're talking to Jonathan Toews. Jonathan Toews is a captain, a really great player for the Chicago Blackhawks. He missed 2 years with a muscular health issue. Thought he was retired, has done a recovery program, wants to come back and play, won't play for the Blackhawks. Winnipeg seems to have the inside track to get him. And he's got 372 career goals. Sat out 2 years because of this muscular disorder. They've solved it. Boy, Winnipeg got him. What a great addition. He's a really good player, longtime player, really kind of a leader. So, John, we got all things NHL hockey. Don't throw the puck over the plexiglass. You get a 2-minute delay of game penalty. So take your best shot and make sure you put it on net.
Okay, so both games 6 and 7 are in Florida, right?
No.
Oh, they're going to...
6 is Florida. 7, if Edmonton wins 6, they go back to Edmonton.
Oh.
But how's that possible?
Well, they could maybe pull it out. I don't know. But okay, there's hope there. That'd be classic for Edmonton to win it on game 7. And by the way, this interesting, this nuclear line you come up with. Is that what Edmonton calls it?
That's what they're calling it.
Well, first of all, it's a mixed metaphor. It's like nuclear energy versus oil and gas. So you need to call it like the gas on the fire line or something like that.
So that's where Edmonton is, but if they don't get to raise the cup, despite all the talent they have in those two superstars, they have to go get goaltending.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big issue. And you can say all the great things you want about Stuart Skinner, and we wouldn't be here had he not gotten us there. But the most important time of the year, 3 years in a row, he gets shaky in goal, gets sloppy in goal, lets in bad goals, and they haven't won. And now I would have bet you all the sub sandwiches I could have bought you that they would have won Game 5 on home ice. And bingo, he gives up a bad goal early, and Edmonton was out of the thing and wound up losing 6-2.
His confidence must be shot.
Yeah. So that's what I think. Okay, that's all things NHL hockey. Last topic on the table. Oh, what a great day we had yesterday watching golf.
Golf, yeah. The U.S. Open was fantastic.
Oh, how do you describe this? 156 guys teed off at Oakmont for the U.S. Open just outside Pittsburgh. I've been on that course. Beautiful course. Hard course. It's an obstacle course, not a golf course. A lot of criticism today, the aftermath of the U.S. Open. 156 guys teed off. By the time we got to Sunday night, it was only one guy broke par. One guy.
Unbelievable.
And that was J.J. Spahn, the former San Diego State golfer from 2012. Oakmont, impossible course, the greens, the rough, the bunkers, the wind, the rain. They had a skyline shot early in the fourth round. They showed the skyline above the golf course. It looked like the freaking apocalypse. It was black. It was gray. You knew the storm was coming.
Right.
And they were saying, it's starting to drizzle. Boy, these are big raindrops. These raindrops are as big as gumdrops. And then it rained like hell. And then the greens got flooded, and the fairways looked like a river. So a 98-minute delay, and then they went out and played. And then the guys, over the last 9 holes, every one of the leaders got consumed by the golf course. They were hitting balls anywhere and everywhere and got themselves in trouble. And the end of the day, J.J. Spahn, who started horribly, he played like you.
Yes.
He had 5 bogeys in the first 6 holes.
Yeah, that's actually a good day for me.
Yeah, he shot himself out of it. And he came through the rain delay and says, okay, I'm just going to focus. I'm going to play on his wet greens. And his game came together. And what happened was everybody on the leaderboard above him came back to him, and he went by him. And then he birdies 17, and he gets to 18, and he hits a 64-foot putt uphill, curves it, goes in for a birdie on 18.
Beautiful.
And the fans went crazy. And this guy's a journeyman. He's had 1 win his entire career. He's had a couple second-place finishes. And he just got zoned in, and everybody else self-destructed. The look on the faces of everybody else in that tournament as they were falling apart in the soggy conditions, and they were arguing with the officials about bad lies. We shouldn't be playing. This course is unplayable. There's water everywhere, and you're asking me to hit off the fairway with water. Players are really, really upset. Sam Burns self-destructed. Adam Scott lost his putter. Scotty Scheffler is just miserable. He missed 5 putts from within 5 feet on the final day of the tournament. Tyrell Hatton, who plays on the LIV, temper tantrums on TV. He was heaving his clubs, kicking at the sand. It was good TV. And Robert McIntyre from Scotland ran out of holes. Otherwise, he might have been there with J.J. Spahn right at the end. Hovland from Sweden ran out of holes too. So the tournament was unbelievable. Rory McIlroy, I was alarmed at what he said finally in the post-game press conferences. He really scuffled and struggled. You want to read between the lines. Listen to this. Rory McIlroy, who has not played much since the Masters, says, I feel like I've become an average golfer. I have to find my motivation now to go back out there and play. I don't know if he's burned out. He's just, for a guy that won the Masters and has become the fan's friend and a fan's man, I'll say he's not playing well at all. And now he's talking as if I'm not enjoying playing golf at all. He's got to find his motivation. So that's not good at all. But U.S. Open, John, it was just cool. Okay, let's move on to Team USA Soccer. Christian Pulisic finally responds to all this criticism of all these former Team USA legends saying, this criticism against me and against our team is way over the top. He said, I'm offended that these guys who played in European soccer and came back and played here, these guys know how tough it is to play both, are criticizing me now, and I've been hurt. He says it's just totally unfair. So there's been so much heat directed at Mauricio Pochettino and the fact that there's 13 veteran guys from Team USA not playing in the Gold Cup. And what happens? Team USA goes out and beats Trinidad yesterday 5-0 in the Gold Cup. Snaps their losing streak. But Trinidad is ranked 100th globally. It's not a real good soccer team. But Team USA got a win. Team USA scored in the 41st and 44th minute, the 82nd, the 84th minute to get the win, and was a real stunner. But Pulisic's really peeved at Landon Donovan, Alexi Lawless, Tim Howard, the former goaltender, saying, you guys all played in Europe. You know that grind. And you're criticizing me. I played everything there in all the extra tournaments, and now you're criticizing me, and I'm hurt. You think it's really unfair. Mexico won. They beat the Dominican Republic. Mexican side, they got a really good player from the English Premier League, Raul Jimenez. They scored 44th, 47th, and 53rd minute as they put away the Dominican Republic. SDFC, road game without Chucky Lozano. Anders Dreyer. Boy, what an acquisition he's become from Denmark. Scores 2 goals on the road. SDFC gets their 10th win of the season for an expansion team. That's really unheard of. So that's all things soccer. Formula One, Canadian Grand Prix, bumper cars. Man, they were banging into each other. Couple of accidents. One car got airborne. Scary, almost flipped over. And it turned out to be a soap opera. George Russell of New Zealand got the pole, nearly crashed on the first lap, raced into the first corner. George Russell outran Max Verstappen. Verstappen's pissed at the media because Verstappen has had so many penalties imposed on him this year. If he gets one more penalty, he's going to get a race suspension for rough driving, etc. Anyhow, Verstappen could not chase down George Russell, who ran away from the field. There was a crash in a race for third place, and we have not heard the outcome of this. 2 drivers, same team, racing for the same spot on a turn. Lando Norris, really good driver, hit his own teammate trying to get to the corner, Piastris. Norris knocked himself out of the race. So there's a huge uproar, Team McLaren. You guys are supposed to be teammates. What are you racing against each other, cutting corners, knock one of them out, and you lost all the points. So big issue there. And Lewis Hamilton had another meltdown for Ferrari, saying this thing has no balance. This car, we can't get this thing set up. I had no handling at all. So it was really messy with the Canadian Grand Prix. The Indy cars ran on Sunday night in Illinois, and Joseph Newgarden, who has former Indy 500 champ, he hit a car and got upside down at high speed on the straightaway. I saw the video of it. He got flipped, and he went on the roof, on the cockpit of the Indy cars that protect the drivers. He went down the straightaway, upside down. Really scary. Got out of the car, walked away. The integrity of the Indy cars is really, really impressive. But he just hit a guy, got airborne, air got underneath his car, flipped him, and he went down upside down on his lid.
Well, that's why they have those roll bars on those cars.
Well, roll bars, and then obviously they call them now the canopies. To protect the drivers. Just absolutely amazing. Last thing, TV Guide, talking about TV ratings. I happen to think that you don't know what the hell you're talking about because you think Sacramento at Portland on a Thursday, November is great basketball. I happen to think this NBA Finals has been great. Nobody's watching it. They had 8.1 million for the last game, Oak City, Indiana. 8.1. Lowest ratings since 1988. No, these are going to be the worst TV ratings in modern time in the NBA. That's a really good series. WNBA. If you want to call, what's her name with the Chicago Sky, the one that's causing all the problems.
Angel Reese?
Angel Reese. If you want to call her and tell her she's wrong, that's okay. The 2 weeks that Caitlin Clark was out with a quad injury with the Indiana Fever, TV ratings with WNBA went down 41%. So they're watching the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, not because of Angel Reese or Brittany Griner or any of the other junk. 41% drop in 2 weeks because Caitlin Clark's not shooting threes and not playing. Caitlin Clark did come back and play yesterday, and they won. She had a career-high 32 points first game back. Okay, John, all topics on the table. JJ Spawn, how about that?
Oh yeah, there's a lot in this list. So hopefully I can remember everything I want to comment on. The JJ Spawn thing was cool, and I was following him through the tournament because he's San Diego State guy. Gives me someone to root for because so many of these PGA guys, I don't know them anymore. All the big names have gone to live, but I know obviously some of them came back for the Open. But he was there from the start. He had a great opening round on Thursday.
Steady as they go. And then obviously what he started yesterday was just brutal. I thought it was over. And then the rains came, and then everybody had to go back out there, and everything was soaked. He just methodically played, and all of a sudden everybody else started self-destruct. I mean, some of the shots were, they went into the pot bunkers, which were full of water, and some of the guys were hitting on the side, on the rough. Guys were standing at a bad angle. I would have broken my back trying to put it out of there. And Hatton had three hacks at one. He couldn't get it out of the sand. Then he got it on the rough, and then he couldn't get it onto the green. It was just a disaster.
Well, when I was watching on Sunday, Spawn started fading, early on, and I thought, it's not working out for the guy, so maybe I'm going to just see what else is on TV. And then when I got the news that he won it, I was like, oh my God. And then I saw that putt on the 18th, and it was unbelievable. But here's another factoid that I saw on X. I don't know how true this is, but apparently Sunday morning at 3 a.m., he had to go to CVS to go get medicine for his daughter who was kind of feeling sick. Crazy.
Yeah. What an accomplishment. Once in a lifetime thing. Okay. And the fans, nobody knows who he was. We do, but they were coming up the 18th hole, and they're chanting JJ. That was so cool. And the golfers just stood there, and he hit that 64-foot uphill putt over a swale, and then it curved into the hole. I went, wow.
But it's cool how the fans will cheer the kind of the guy that no one knows.
Fans, man.
Yeah, and they're going to give him his moment. And I think that's so cool. And all these interviews, I'm getting to know JJ Spawn a little bit more. I mean, this guy he's humble. I mean, he was even saying like a year ago, he thought he was going to lose his tour card.
Yep. And
now look at him now. He's going to be guaranteed entry to the Open and to the Masters for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I wrote a column on my website today, Aztec for Life. Jump on board. You're a San Diego State fan. You want to talk soccer, Christian Pulisic? You want to talk F1? Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to talk first of all about the TV ratings. And of course, Caitlin Clark, I saw her out there playing. She just was lit it up, hitting all these threes from the logo, and it makes a big, big difference. And so I wish these NBA players just get over it and say, she's our ticket. We're making them a lot of money. I mean, that's why people come out. They want to see Shohei Ohtani, guys on the Dodgers aren't getting all pissy that no one's paying attention to them, so just let her have her due. But by the way, there are a lot of people now that are tuning in specifically to watch Angel Reese at the beginning of the game. And there's a betting line on whether or not she's going to make or miss her first shot of the game. And the last I checked, she had missed the first shot of the game 9 games in a row.
It's kind of overrated. A lot of overrated.
Yeah.
An awful lot of shtick with her that got to back up the shtick with some substance. And I don't think her game is as complete as she thinks.
She's a big rebounder, I know.
Yeah.
But she's not going to light up the scorecard like Caitlin Clark does.
And she's in grudge mode all the time.
Yeah.
Just foolish. Okay. A lot of topics on the table. We do sports talk the way it should be done on this podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can give you a lot of help. Dixieline Lumber. Go to dixieline.com and just take a look at all the different things that they have. A reminder, you like sports, please check my website. I write on it every day, leehacksawhamilton.com. I want you to join my insiders group. You can fill out the orange box on the homepage of my website. That gets you on the email list. We send out 2 emails a day with all kinds of new information for all of our followers. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you then get the alerts every time we put new video up, and we kind of do a lot of that during the course of the week. So that's all the business stuff is done. It's time for Fans Forum. Do you want me to hide under the table when they start commenting on everything I said, or should I just...
Their comments on what you look like.
Thank you very much. All right, let's go. John, you invented it. It's all your fault.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let's go to again. Matthew, great guy. We're going to get Matthew in because he gives us money. Thank you, Matthew. And he says, hey, the Club World Cup in LA yesterday was a complete disaster. Traffic control added another hour for people to get in from the 210, both sides of the traffic. Kids and parents are running on the freeway to get in. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was a mess. There was a lot of fear from the Mexican backers that they're going to be ICE raids. They're going to show up with people trying to get their tickets and get into the stadiums. From what I gather, that did not happen. But the thing I was told, the CWC was a fiasco a bunch of places. It was not good in Seattle. It was not good in Miami, etc. And, maybe there's just a general consensus that FIFA overreached with this idea of the Club World Cup. And, so you take the fact that maybe this isn't as cool as everybody thought it would be. Paris Saint-Germain beat somebody 10-0 in this Club World Cup championship first round game over the weekend. So I don't know. FIFA's going to have to rethink this thing. And, this is coming on at the exact same time as the CONCACAF Gold Cup, which is kind of important emotionally for a lot of the teams in this quadrant, South America, Central America, etc. So that's a big issue too. Is there a different place on the calendar to put a Club World Cup? I don't know.
Well, this is what Pulisic is upset about, right?
It's too many matches.
Yeah, so he doesn't get enough time off. So how is the Club World Cup different than the Champions League in Europe?
Well, the Champions League is earned by virtue of you got to finish in the top 3 or top 4 in your league to qualify to go to the Champions League.
Right.
So the English Premier League, I think, takes the top 4 every year. And it's the same thing in Serie A in Italy, La Liga in France. The top 4 all go into the pool, and then they play. Champions League is huge, tremendous amount of money.
But this is like any team that's a club team gets in?
No, this is, how can I explain this? They devised this 2 years ago. This is for a champion team in a specific league. Paris Saint-Germain won their league.
Mm-hmm.
So their team collectively gets to play in the Club World Cup tournament.
So this is really more of a Champions League than the Champions League.
But the Champions League is the top 4 teams from every professional league in FIFA. They all go play, and they play during the course of the whole calendar year. This is a fixed position thing.
See, this is the thing that bugs me, and I mentioned this last podcast. It's confusing to soccer fans.
Yeah, and then you throw into that, we got the Gold Cup going on, which carries an awful lot of merit for teams in this area from U.S. to Canada, Central America, South America.
Yeah, and then we're trying to follow our local MLS team, and then some of those players are leaving to go play for their national team. So it's different.
Too much.
Yeah, you don't see this sort of intermingling of players and leagues and other sports like you see in soccer.
FIFA created this as a money grab, and I think it's blown up in their face. That's a big issue. And then obviously you throw into the society problems we have here in the United States with the immigration and ICE and the White House. This thing can be so chaotic, can be so bad. And the crowds a lot of places were down because I think a lot of the Hispanic fans were afraid to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, that would be a prime location for ICE to show up. But
now, luckily, at least this past weekend, they did not. But that does not mean that they're going to stay away forever. Really interesting point, Matt. It's a complex thing to talk about. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead. Next one.
Okay. Next one is our good friend, David. David, again, thank you. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is so annoying. I want to watch and focus on baseball being played.
Well, it just depends. They get it. They almost make it like a talk show in the booth, which kind of becomes a distraction. Now, for example, yesterday, they led off Sunday Night Baseball talking about the blockbuster Red Sox-Giants trade, which was pretty cool. But during the course of the game, they just gravitate towards all this conversation about things that don't have to do specifically with that game and the set of circumstances with the pitchers, the hitters, etc. That, to me, they're like making it a sports talk show. I don't think it should be that way.
I wonder if they're just doing that on purpose to try to attract more casual fans.
Could well be,
to kind of educate them. I'm kind of tired of the whole microphone, on the player it's cool how the NBA does it, because they capture all the information and then it goes back to the truck and they edit it and they play back later what they said during the game.
There's not a lot of meaningful stuff.
No,
there.
but it's interesting,
like play defense, John.
Yeah, something like that. But when you get a guy on, and you're asking the player, you're like, what's your favorite breakfast cereal? I mean, it's just dumb.
Yeah, and he's waiting for the fly ball in right field. I think that the potential dugout interviews during the course of the game carries a lot more clout for the fans in terms of information than trying to interview my right fielder waiting for a fly ball to get it to him.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, if you want info, but it just seems like they're just showing off their technology gadgetry. Hey, we can have a wireless mic in left field. Isn't that cool? Okay, we move on. Good point. But I did think Sunday Night Baseball led off this past weekend because they were talking about the topic. I mean, that thing was a bolt of lightning coming out of the sky. Where the hell did this trade come from? In fact, I had to double check it. When I first got a flash, I said, no, you kidding me? And I went and checked two other sources and said, yeah, the deal's just coming down. I said, wow. I mean, well, let's go here. This is a comment from Roy talking about the Devers deal. He says, Lee, do you think Devers' batting average takes a dip playing at Oracle Park? He's not playing at Fenway, and he's going to play where Barry Bonds got frustrated. So, I mean, that's a different yard. That's a tough place to hit a lot of balls out of. So, I think his game is going to be different. Now, he does put the ball in play. He does get extra base hits. I mean, if he can nail things into the alleys, he's going to run forever. But he's also a guy that's got pop. Well, he does not have the green monster there anymore. So, yeah, I think this learning curve is really going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, left field is hella hard to get it over that brick wall because it's a pretty tall wall. Yep. I saw like a graphic, and they were taking all of his Devers home runs in Fenway and then overlaying it on the Oracle Park diagram, and long fly ball outs. Yeah, a lot of long fly ball outs, but then a lot of other cases he might get home runs to left that otherwise would have bounced off the green monster. So it'll be, I'm just curious to see mostly how his attitude changes, because he's now saying, hey, I'll play first base, I'll play DH, whatever you need. He's like, on good behavior now. Well, his meeting with John Henry and obviously Cora did not go well in Boston. They traded him. And usually you don't get rid of star talent, but they got rid of attitude. And as Riley admitted, they got rid of contract too, and that's got something to do with it. And they got Marcelo Meyer, San Diego kid, and he had, I think, was it 1 or 2 home runs in his first day? Yeah. They got their collection. If you go through their roster, they've probably got 6 really good young players that are all kind of up there simultaneously. They're a little bit thin in pitching, which is why so much pitching was part of that San Francisco deal, because they really need help around Garrett Crochet, and their bullpen's been a black hole. Now, Jordan Hicks comes from the Giants, and he was a former closer with the Cardinals that San Francisco tried to convert into a starter and did well for a while, and then didn't do well and then got injured. Hicks will go back into that bullpen. So, but I guess the shocker to me is you did this after you just kicked the Yankees' ass in 2 back-to-back series and put yourself back in the pennant race, and your trade Devers. How do you explain that to your people? Well, I mean, I think there is an explanation. I mean, it's complicated. You're tired of the attitude. Yeah, you're tired of the attitude. You're getting, pitching prospects. You've got your own internal guys in the farm that are arriving on the scene. This is all going to probably work out really well for them. It's going to work out for the Giants? I don't know. I just don't know how he's going to be used. Like you say, the ballpark dimensions are different. And, we've seen other third basemen go back and forth between the Giants and the Red Sox. And I think of Pablo Sandoval. Yeah. That didn't work out too well for him when he went to Boston. But he goes there with Adames, Chapman, and they've got a bunch of nickel and dime hitters. The Yastrzemskis of the world are not sexy names, but those guys are just kind of productive. They hit 270, 280, pop a home run here and there. And Giants, that Helio Ramos guy is pretty good too. He's had a good season. Yes, he's been leading off for them and doing a really good job. And then another local guy, San Francisco, Casey Schmidt, had that grand slam over the weekend. Yeah, he's not hit for average at all. I'm kind of surprised. He's been there a long time, but he's still there. So it'll be interesting. The Giants have kind of positioned themselves back in the pennant race with the Padres and with the Dodgers. Yeah, I think Arizona probably out, Giants probably in. Okay, we move on. Okay, let's go here to Callan. And he says, hey, good afternoon, gents. Seems like Florida is repeating. Oil getting suckered into taking the rat bait, and dumb penalties they have taken has killed them, along with goaltending woes.
Well, the woes are really bad. They played with greater discipline because that game was up in Edmonton. There were no cheap shots. There was no face washing. There was no late hits, arguments, etc. Now going back into Florida, there might be a lot of yapping there because that's the way the Rats tend to play. The Panthers tend to play down there. But this goaltending thing has to be addressed. It's the third year in a row, and Skinner earned his way there. They won a lot of games with Skinner, but the most important times of the year, he's been benched every playoff series this year, and he got benched last year too. I haven't talked to my Canadian friends lately, but my guys in Edmonton, they just got to be sick just about the fact that they can't trust Skinner. You never know, Jekyll Hyde, what you're going to get.
Yeah, I'm still learning about this. They don't have a problem switching goalies in the middle of a match.
Well, they out of desperation, but again, you're going to a journeyman minor league guy's been with 6 clubs in Calvin Pickard. Now Pickard played well when they brought him in initially, but then Pickard started that game 5 and just got lit.
Well, but if they do make a switch, let's say mid-game, do they usually do it like at any time, or will it typically be during one of the breaks?
It can be any time. If a guy gives up 2 bad goals in a row, they might make that switch, or they might wait till there's a stoppage in play or the 10-minute mark, etc. But usually you try to stop the bleeding if you're bleeding goals, and that's happened with Skinner a bunch.
But some guys, like, they get on that big stage and it's the big moment, and then they kind of mentally get crushed. It reminds me, I remember Nate Kading for the Chargers,
Sure.
The kicker. He would always miss in the playoffs.
Yep.
So it's the same kind of thing. Skinner, great talent, but maybe the stage is too bright for him.
You got to keep people off him. He has a lot of problems flopping. He has a lot of problems locating where the puck is. I mean, he's gotten beaten on stuff that there is a lot of traffic in front of him. I mean, Edmonton has to clear that crease. They got to get those big bodies out so he can get a sight line to see where the shots are coming from. But he's given him so many bad goals. And to me, I don't quite understand it. He's really sloppy around the net with loose pucks, rebounds, not covering it, or trying to stick handle behind the net and coughing it up. Those are things you can fix. But we're 3rd year in a row with McDavid and Draisaitl, and they're about to go on vacation.
Ownership is probably coming unglued. The fans are coming unglued. And really, I'm sure the coaches and the fellow players are not happy with this at all.
Yeah. But yet, the reality is you try to have the back of your goaltender, because you would not have gotten to the NHL finals had it not been for a lot of good games that Skinner's played. But the most important time of the year, Skinner continues to scuffle and struggle, and they have to go pull him. And it's happened 3 years in a row.
It's a good thing Washington Nationals manager Dave Martinez is not the head coach of the Oilers. He'd be throwing Skinner under the bus.
Exactly. Okay, we move on. Thanks, Callum.
Okay, let's go here to the O-Siders. And he says, hey, is it out of the question Padres might be sellers at the deadline? After all, they still over the luxury tax threshold. Dodgers don't care, and they're over, but Padre ownership does.
Well, Padre ownership has put a lid on A.J. Preller. And, there's a number of different angles here as it relates to the trade deadline. Yes, they have needs. The question is, can they afford to take on a contract? I'm not sure they can. Secondly, what have they got to trade outside of the young catcher Salas, who's hurt, and the shortstop DeVries? They don't have a heck of a lot there. So if you're going to be a buyer, it has to be an equitable acquisition. We put a list up here last Thursday, I guess it was, of potential trade guys.
Oh, yeah.
And the top of my list was Andrew McCutchen. You get him dirt cheap from the Pirates. He can play left field. He's got a little bit of pop. If he hits 250 and hits a few home runs and he gives you good play in left field, why not? Jaron Durant doesn't work. They want Luis Arraez. Well, that doesn't work. A, you're taking on contract. B, you're creating a hole at first base if you're trying to solve the hole in left field with Durant. And now the fact that Ralph Devers has been traded, Boston's not going to trade Durant. So, so the Padres issue is they're at $210 million, and their total with the benefits and everything is like $280. They can't go higher. So what can you trade? You can't trade Bogarts. I don't think that Cronenworth's got great value. So how are you going to rid yourself of payroll to take on a different type of payroll? And secondly, who are you going to trade if it's not one of those guys? Who else are you going to trade? There's nobody else to trade, I don't think.
Well, there's some Padre fans are maybe a little down on Salas, maybe thinking maybe he wasn't as good as we thought he would be.
Well, I thought he was good, but he's been hurt.
He's been hurt,
but he's not a hitter.
But he's not a hitter. And that was the thing that we thought. We knew the defensive skills for him were off the charts.
But he's so young.
He is very young. So, they're going to have to make some tough decisions here. But imagine, just take you through that hypothetical, that the Padres trade for Andrew McCutchen. Pittsburgh fans right now are so pissed off about everything else that's going on. And then you trade their guy, McCutchen, who kind of had like a homecoming this year. I mean, that would be pretty rough on Pirate fans.
It's been pretty rough on Pirate fan, period, exclamation point, because of the owner, Bob Nutting. It's a debacle there in Pittsburgh. But that's the kind of guy, if they're going to try to fill something in left field, that's the kind of guy I think maybe they go for on a short-term, low-budget rental who can still play the game to some degree. Okay, move on.
Moving on. Okay, let's go here to John to talk about Dave Martinez. Hey, what Dave Martinez doesn't have is a clubhouse leader. For years, they had Jason Worth. The World Series team had Howie Kendrick and Adam Eaton and Max Scherzer. The Nationals need a seasoned veteran to challenge the kids and show them how to be professionals. They brought Josh Bell, remember him, back to be a leader, but he hasn't done that yet.
They just don't have enough. They don't have enough pitching, and you're correct. There's an intangible thing there in terms of a guy that picks up the flag and says, follow me. They've got good young kids. Most of them are from San Diego, but they just don't have enough players. And let's be honest. Damn, that division's hard. You got the Mets and you got Philadelphia. Now Atlanta's having a real bumpy road with all the injuries that they've had, but that's a tough division too.
Well, Strasburg, if he were healthy, would still be inside his contract right now,
Yes.
wouldn't he be? I mean, so imagine if he was there as a leadership presence, and being at the top of his game with no injuries. But it could be a whole different situation.
But that's a what if situation.
Well, yeah,
we're dealing with what is.
Yeah, well, it's fun to kind of think about the what if. All right, let's go here to Lee. And go to Hector. And he says, Lee, now that the Dodgers' actual rival have pushed their chips in with Devers, do you think they have enough offense to win the division? P.S. Did you get your Dodgers underwear in Ensenada or the Americas outlet?
Oh, geez, that's cruel. Doesn't matter. Does it really matter who I like, who I root for? The only thing that counts is the quality of the content on the show. Damn. Hey, I got you to view. Content must be damn great. Giants have been a surprise to me. I mean, they were 41-29 going into this final series weekend game with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, they've been really impressive, and they've done this. This is the other thing, punched up on your cell phone. Does Justin Verlander have a win this year? He's been hurt. He's been on the disabled list. I'm not sure that he really does. So the Giants pitching has been unique. It's been deep. It's been a surprise to me. And they're guys outside of the big names that you recognize. I mean, that third baseman, Matt Chapman's hitting home runs. Adames, after a slow start, has really started to cook like he did in Milwaukee. Now you get Ralph Devers, and the other guys are pretty decent. I mean, Yastrzemski and those guys and Ty Fitzgerald and those guys, they just grind and they'll win some games for you, and they hit 250 to 270 and they're steady and they're there all the time. Or is it a team made up of superstars? No, not like the Dodgers, and obviously not like the names the Padres have, but so far so good. And now they're bold. Now, man, oh man, there's an intangible about what's happened in San Francisco. They have the market, John. Think about this. They have the market to themselves now with no Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
Think about that. And no NFL.
Well, yeah. The NFL is in Santa Clara.
Yeah, they got the 49ers. But the Giants are a baseball market unto themselves, so they can probably charge what they want to charge, increase payroll, and take on big contracts and afford it and be able to afford it right now. That's why Posey, I think, has been so bold. I thought the Adames contract from Milwaukee was a little bit of a surprise, and obviously this thing just was like a bolt of lightning. Where the hell did this come from, this deal from Boston? So I think they're close, and they haven't gotten anything from Verlander.
Yeah, he says he's 0 for 3. I mean, 0 wins and 3 losses, 4.33 ERA. Hasn't pitched since mid-May.
Yeah, he's been on the deal with a neck problem that hasn't gotten better. Now they say he's coming back, but that's amazing. I mean, Verlander was supposed to be one of the front of the end rotation guys. You got no wins, and
Well,
the Giants are fighting for first place.
Well, I remember there was a big stretch there in May, like the latter half of May, where the Giants just weren't hitting at all.
Yeah.
Like if they had a hard time scoring 4 runs in a game. And there were games where there was one game where the Padres, I think, were up 4-0, and Giants fans were certain the game was over. And of course, they had a huge comeback. So now that's what they need. They need hitting. So now they got Devers. So yeah, they could be sneaky good. And in that marketplace, how many, they went years and years and years with sellouts at Oracle Park, not anymore as much, but they're going to support a winner. I mean, the Giants and the Niners are the 2 most sentimental teams in the Bay Area.
Logan Webb is a prime example of what Giant baseball has been this year. He's 5-5. He's a gamer. His ERA is like 2.83. They don't score any runs for him. He's 5-5 and a 2.83 ERA, which is kind of really impressive. Now they go get another big bat.
You know who he looks like? Logan Webb, Jesse Plemons. I don't know if you've ever seen, he's an actor. He was on Breaking Bad. And I always thought Logan Webb kind of looks like him, but Logan Webb, man, that guy's hella good.
Oh, he's a baller.
Yeah. And the Padres actually hit him well, I think, in their last game against San Francisco.
Okay. We move on.
Okay. Let's go here to Mike. And he goes, hey, as a Rockets fan, I completely good off of mortgaging our young talent for an age superstar. Man, keep that core together.
I concur with you, but see, they've also got that pretty good draft pick. So what they need to do is find a way to package a pick and maybe one young player to go get a veteran stabilizer that's been through the wars. That's why Durant appeals to them. They think they're one veteran away because they sure do have athletes. My goodness, they've got athletes in Houston, just like San Antonio is building athletes, just like the model is what Oklahoma City has become. I mean, Oklahoma City is in the finals trying to win the championship, and the average age of Oklahoma City is 24. How amazing is that?
Well, that's the cool part about the NBA finals right now is there is legit young superstars on both of these teams and having breakout moments in their career. And I think it's really cool, because I mean, do we really want to watch LeBron James, in the finals every year?
No,
man. I like seeing some of this new blood. And yeah, I mean, I just know that the Rockets remember those 2 twin brothers got drafted a couple of years ago? I think their last name is Amen. And so one of them is there. He's really good. And then
the other one's in Detroit, the Thompson brothers.
Yeah. That's his first name, Amen Thompson, right? Pardon me. And and then the other guy that's on the Rockets I remember was their center, who was like, I think from Turkey or something. Yes. And he is really, really talented.
He's really good offensively, great offensive talent. They've just got a lot of firepower. And that's the byproduct of drafting well after losing and losing and losing for years. They were rotten.
Yeah.
So Durant's going to get traded. I bet by next Thursday, by a week from today, he might be somewhere else pretty quick. And that's not the only one. There's still other deals that are probably going to happen around. There's going to be a busy week in the NBA leading up to the draft.
And a lot of those Celtics.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we move on. Mike, thanks for being with us.
Let's go to Casey. And he said, good afternoon, guys. And what moves do you see my LA Kings making this offseason? And I think Panthers wrap up the series tomorrow and repeat as Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, I think Edmonton had their chance. And when they got stoned as badly as they did in Game 5 at home, I thought this is over. And the goaltending just continues to be erratic. In terms of the LA Kings, they've got an awful lot of payroll. They've got to make a decision. There's a rumor out there that they may trade one of the young defensemen. It's not going to be Brant Clark. I think it's going to be Jordan Spence that they might trade him. They need to start stockpiling some more young players, but they have an awful lot of age there, an awful lot of high payroll, but they're awful close. They just made a deal to bring back goaltender Phoenix Copley. They signed him this morning to a new extension. He's going to be the backup. He signed a one-way contract. So they're close. I mean, they are right there, and they just have to take that next step. I thought it was gruesome that they couldn't beat Edmonton in the playoffs this year, and they had them by the throat, and they let it get away, and general manager walked away from it. Coach kept his job. They don't have a lot of space to do a lot of things. That's the big issue with LA. Anaheim's the one that's got the cap space. Anaheim's got the holes for veteran players. That's why Anaheim made the Chris Kreider deal. So Kings are good. The Kings just have to learn how to win in postseason. They haven't been able to do it because Edmonton's always been there right in front of them.
It's interesting because the Kings have all those old veterans with big contracts.
Yeah, the Kopitars of the world. And
Yeah.
Exactly. Adrian Kempe and Kevin Fiala finally had a really big season offensively. And he'd been paid a lot of money. He'd come from Minnesota, had never quite scored the way he did with the Minnesota Wild. The Kings are really deep. I think it's a really good team, but they haven't won because Edmonton's always been there in front of them.
It's just, it's like there's certain teams that have other teams' number.
Oh, 4 years in a row.
Yeah. I get you. Okay, now this is a fun one. I want to hear your whole story on this, and this is from 2 Run DMC. He goes, "Down it, firefighter."
This goes back to sports talk radio. We did what we call endorsement advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
Advertisers would come be part of our talk show, car dealership, real estate agent, whatever, and we would do live commercials for them. So anyhow, we had this beer company come to us and saying, we're introducing a new beer, and we want you to come to a sports bar in Orange County, and we're going to shoot video of you talking to the fans about beer. The beer was called Klausthaler. So anyhow, so I go up on a Saturday. It took us forever. It might have taken us 7 hours to shoot all these videos, and they would edit them into commercials.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting at a bar, and this guy comes up, "Hacksaw, let's talk some sports." And I said, "Nah, I want to talk beer with you." And we started talking about Klausthaler.
Yeah.
It was really funny. And I was just ad-libbing. And I said, "Okay, that's my take on beer. What do you do for your living?" He said, "Well, I fight fires." I said, "Down it, firefighter." And that's all anybody remembers from the Klausthaler commercials. They ran for, I think, a 6-month schedule. It was kind of novel. That's the story.
Well, I think I heard "Down at Firefighter" like from Jim Rome or some other guy that was just,
mocking me.
Mocking you, but in a fun way,
Sure.
And so it's cool to hear that actual story. So that was part of a television commercial.
Yes. For Klausthaler beer, German beer.
Cool. I like that. See, you have got a million backstories.
Oh,
We've talked about some
you
of
want
them.
me to write a book, and I don't have enough hours.
You
Enough hours in the day to write a book.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
anyhow.
you need a ghostwriter to help you out.
We'll
maybe.
put him on the podcast.
Okay. And let's go here to James. And this is a 2-parter. He says, James says, Durant will ruin those young teams he may get traded to. I think the Miami Heat are big players for a deal for KD. And then James goes on to say, the Knicks think they're the Yankees. Ha ha.
Well, they got a screwball owner in James Dolan, and the Yankees had George Steinbrenner, so I guess anything is possible. Durant's got a little bit of time left on the clock, but boy, that turned out to be a really bad season in Phoenix. I mean, that ownership had gone in and started making all these trades and going to put this dream team together, and the deals blew up in their face. I mean, it wasn't necessarily Durant's fault. Brad Beal came in a separate trade, the guard, and he had a big contract. He's hurt all the time. There's some attitude issues with Beal. And Devin Booker's a great star, but he got tired of losing. So the Phoenix has just got some internal chemistry problems. I don't know how much of it is on Kevin Durant. All I know is Kevin Durant is 36, and he's got 1 year left on a $54 million contract. And the offense, I think, has to run through him, not through Devin Booker. So maybe he goes to Miami, but Miami is they've got internal problems. I mean, so bad that they traded away, they gave away Jimmy Butler to get him the hell out of there and send him off to Golden State. So Pat Riley's got his hands full, and he's got cap problems too. So, but Durant's got the no trade clause, so he can say, and he has this weekend. He told them, "I'd waive my clause to go to Houston, go to San Antonio, but you got to find the right mix of players that the Spurs are willing to give up or Houston's willing to give up." Now all of a sudden the Clippers are in on it, Miami's in on it. Toronto's got more resources than the others. Toronto wants it, but does he want to go play in Canada? So I don't think Durant's a bad guy, but his career sure has kind of toppled off.
Remember when he got traded or as a free agent signing, went to the Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone freaked out. You know, oh my God, the Warriors have the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green, and now they're getting Kevin Durant. And I remember they won one and maybe lost one with Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But there were chemistry issues, I think, with Durant and Steph. I mean, I remember hearing a little bit of chirping about that.
Got to have the ball.
Yeah. But that's Steph's team, man. I mean,
Sure.
of course.
And Klay Thompson's now gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Draymond's in the twilight of his career. And now the big story today out of Golden State is they're shopping Jonathan Kuminga. They may give up on him. He's only 22 years of age. I think he's a great talent, but they haven't been able to find the right role and haven't found any consistency with him at all. But he's
had moments where he has been spectacular.
Oh, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I said you're going to trade him. He's only 22, but they're with him every day of the week, and they either know work ethic or they know shortcomings, whatever. But next week, an NBA fan, next week, don't miss it, because once we get done with the championship series, we dive head on into the NBA draft, and there are going to be a lot of trades. I think Kevin Durant's going to be the first ones going off the board quick. Okay, John, move on.
More NBA. Let's go here to Just Good Sports. And he says, hey, I agree that the players run the NBA. For that reason, I think coaches are just faces. It's a problem, but the solution is probably too political to take on in the current climate.
Well, the question is, the players are making all the money. And with rare exception, Steve Kerr is not a puppet. He's running everything Golden State. Popovich ran everything San Antonio, but you got a lot of other places where these coaches get fired and the players are calling all the shots, probably the Lakers included. I don't sense that with the Clippers, but it's just a different NBA at this point in time. It is a players' league, and the players are calling a lot of the decisions, I think.
Well, I think LeBron is making decisions for the general manager too on some of these deals.
Influence.
But, talking about some of these NBA coaches, and yeah, you mentioned Pop and Steve Kerr, and there's a lot of great coaches. But sneaky good is that guy that's the coach of the Heat. What's his name? Eric
Spoelstra.
Spoelstra.
He's the senior member. He's coached the most years of anybody in the league at one place. Of course, he's got a linkage with Pat Riley, and it's Pat Riley's franchise. Just ask Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
But that doesn't happen in a lot of places.
Yeah, because he's
NBA.
been there forever. I mean, he was there when LeBron took his talents to South Beach.
Right.
Yeah. So, but he's always struck me as like a young kid. Now he's obviously a grown man, but it was interesting to see how the NBA coaches are a lot different than NCAA basketball coaches.
Yeah, but the NCAA has gone through radical changes. All the great coaches have left. There is no Roy Williams. There is no Coach K. Jay Wright. I mean, all the great modern day coaches have stepped away that can't stand the NIL transfer portal. The whole thing is totally out of control.
And some of them have been asked to leave, like Bobby Knight, right?
Yeah, exactly. Multiple times.
Okay,
we move on.
And let's go here to social media. Let's get some of our social media friends involved. And go here and down the list. And this is an interesting take here from the Smooth Toad talking about Pac-12 expansion. He goes, hey, San Marcos sits right in between Austin and San Antonio, Texas. And the fans at Texas State have something to look forward to and show up, unlike Rice, who is a has-been.
Oh, he's talking about the Pac-12 conference is about to expand.
Yeah.
And the general feeling is they're going to offer Texas State. Should I tell him what I think, or just want me to bob my head and say, that's okay?
I want one man's opinion.
One man's opinion is, why them? Who? Why them? Rice is in Houston. Big TV market. Is Rice a great program? No, not right now. It's not, but it's had its chunks of time where it's done very well. It's more recognizable. Texas State, a.k.a. Southwest Texas State. Yeah, I know where they are on the map, but Austin, last I checked, that's University of Texas.
Yeah.
San Antonio, they got a program that's rocketed. UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio, is now Division I and has had success. Texas State makes no sense to me at all, except it just be a school that would show up that has no identity. And I just happen to think the Pac-12 is going to be Mountain West 2.0. I don't think there's anything that attracts me to the Pac-12. Even though Oregon State and Washington State, Boise and San Diego State are, I don't think it's any different than being on the old WAC or being in the Mountain West Conference. There's nothing sexy about it. I don't think so.
Well, don't they have to make a decision at some point?
They have, by July 1st of next year, they have to make a decision. The rumor is there's about to be an announcement on a TV contract that will involve 4 different networks. And then there's going to be an announcement as to who they're offering. But I would rather offer Rice because that's got more name recognition and it's in a bigger TV market. I'm sorry, San Marcos, Texas is a dot on the map compared to Houston.
Interesting. I thought it was July, like in a few weeks.
No,
So it's
July
another year.
2026.
Oh, okay. Now here's a follow-up comment that I think is worthy of putting up on the same issue. And this is from HTV Log. And he says, how is it that the new Big 12 still maintains its power status when schools like Cincinnati, Houston, Central Florida, BYU, TCU, they all came from the AEC and what used to be the Mountain West? How is that different than the new Pac-12?
Well, the University of Houston's had some great programs over the years, both football, Bill Yeoman, basketball, obviously. So there is reputation there. TCU under Gary Patterson was a really good program. Kind of has cooled off a little bit. But remember, Oklahoma State's still in that conference. Kansas Jayhawks came back. K-State under Bill Snyder was really good. Iowa State's become a player. Maybe not a sexy household name nationwide, but their football, basketball programs have been pretty good. So there's more credibility with past track records in the Big 12, and of course, Coach Prime, than there is obviously in what's left of the Pac-12. The Big 12's got more name recognizable programs that have had success. All we got is Washington State, Oregon State, and then what we're bringing with San Diego State and Boise State. I don't think it's the same thing.
Well, I don't know if they really are. I don't think these conferences care too much about the success of the program. They just care about the size of the media market, right? Because you can look at some of these other teams like Cincinnati, Houston, Central Florida, BYU, TCU. They're all, they've had varying degrees of success, but they were all group of 5 teams. Now suddenly they're power, 4?
But they're legacies.
Yeah.
Those programs have had a lot more success. I think Houston, BYU, that's known commodity.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're also in decent sized markets. So University of Houston, like what's in Houston? Yeah, there's Rice and Houston, University of Houston.
But Houston's had great success.
Yeah, they have.
And it's a mega TV market.
Yeah, and even right now, the basketball program's terrific.
Exactly.
Okay, let's keep on trucking here, and this is good. There were some people getting on your case here a little bit.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, this is from Austin. He goes, I'm concerned about you always trashing the Padres when they are injured and going up against 2 other teams that spent big money while the Pods are in the mix, spent jack shit. Hashtag LFGSD.
Well, first of all, the Padres have spent a lot of money. They're $210 million payroll. That's pretty significant. I don't know if it's the 4th or 5th highest in all of baseball. The Padres have spent their money. Now, how they've spent it in terms of length of contracts, I think has kind of paralyzed them. I'm not bashing on the Padres. I'm just dealing with the facts right now. You can't sit there, Austin, and tell me everything's great when you have no solution to Yu Darvish. You have no indication as to the future health of Michael King. You just can't sit there and tell me everything's great. And you got a black hole in left field, and you got a hole behind home plate offensively. They're fighting to keep their head above water in this playoff race with half a season to go. And I'm just dealing with the facts. If Darvish was taking the ball every 4th or 5th day, or Michael King was vintage Michael King and it had been no problems, we'd be sitting here really, really excited. I just put the facts on the table and give you my opinion about what concerns me. Just like months ago, I said the Dodger way no longer works because of the catastrophe, the epicenter of all these surgeries to all their pitchers. And then Dodger fans, you're bashing on the Dodgers. How dare you do that? Blah, 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 blah. I can't please everybody. So as long as I'm honest with the topics on the table, that's all I care about.
Well, I think you're leaving out part of the story. And the part is that the Padres are like right there. They're like a couple of games out of first place. And I think if you would have asked any Padre fan in spring training, would you be happy with where they are right now? A couple of games behind the Dodgers, what is it? They're like about 8 or 9 games over 500. I bet you most Padre fans would say, hell yeah. We're in the mix. We're competitive. And yeah, we can criticize the roster and some of the trades and the performance of some of these players, but they're still right there.
So far.
But
you don't have an answer to Darvish and Michael King. You think you can stay there without answers to those questions?
Well, no. Every team's got questions. Even the Dodgers have questions. We don't know if Ohtani's arm is going to blow up tonight in his first day back, and he hasn't pitched in a year and a half, or how long has it been?
Yeah. 2 full years of rehab.
Yeah. So everybody's got question marks. It's just that the Padres question marks are just so obvious,
No,
Left
the Padres question marks are right in front and center because I'm talking about them every Monday and every Thursday.
Well, here's the other comment here, and this is on the same point, and this is from Philip, and he goes, "Can you stop being negative and focus on beating the Dodgers? Just have faith."
Okay, that's fine. But if please trust me, if the season ends by Thursday night, aka they get swept, I just might be unbearable by the time I get on here Thursday afternoon.
Well, I remember on Thursday, you were saying, well, after this 7-game series, Arizona and the Dodgers, they could be out of this, gone for the season. They're not in the mix. And then they lost game 1, and then that horrible bullpen blow up by Robert Suarez Saturday. And I'm like, damn it, Hacksaw is going to be right. They're going to end up going 0-7, and I'm going to have to eat my words. They finally won on Sunday. They're going to win at least one in LA. I'm confident.
Yeah, but that means if they win one in Arizona, they're playing .333 baseball. When they played the Yankees, they won 1. So they're playing .333 baseball there. Yeah. You just told me if they win 1 against the Dodgers, that'd be .250 baseball.
Yeah, well, I know.
How are you going to be in a pennant race?
No, but they're still in the mix. The thing is that the Padres are playing with multiple arms tied behind their back. There's no Jackson Merrill. Okay. Like to your point, you're missing King and Darvish in the rotation. You'd love to have them pitching at in Dodger Stadium, and definitely Jackson Merrill.
That being said, the Dodgers have a better pitching staff on the disabled list in rehab than they have on the roster.
Yeah. The rehab pitching depth for the Dodgers, there's like 5 Cy Youngs in there, so yeah. So it's going to be a great series. Ohtani's there. Big tickets. I bet you we're going to see some celebrities in the stands in Dodger Stadium.
It's going to be fun.
I agree. Okay. Now this was a cool topic, and this is from 24x7 Cars talking about Davante Adams going to the Rams. And he says, Davante Adams sees the most important difference between the Rams and the other teams. It's the culture. The Rams are upbeat and optimistic, but nip player drama in the bud and put the interests of the team first.
Davante Adams has been through some good times, bad times. I will say this, that the thing about him, rock solid, consistent. He catches 1,000 yards a season. He catches 50, 60 balls. I mean, you look at all the places he's played. I mean, obviously starred with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, went to the Raiders because of the relinkage with Derek Carr. They put up some really good numbers. Obviously, the Jets situation was a mess. But he's going to play for a guy that they got structure in LA with the Rams that has been a proven formula that works. And he has linked up with a quarterback that has really impressed him in Matthew Stafford. So I think it's a good team. I think it's a well-run organization. They got themselves a winner at quarterback. They've sure stockpiled a lot of talent. What they've drafted in the last 2.5 years on the defensive side of football is just absolutely phenomenal. So I could see where he'd be excited. I mean, he was the one that made the comment, today is Monday. We talked about it last Thursday. I guess he made the comment last Wednesday. He says there's no dark clouds in this organization. And he knows dark clouds, having been with the Jets, and prior to that with a mess that was the Raiders.
See, that's a really great message, isn't it? I mean, because you don't usually hear that. A player going to another organization, they might be happy that they're going to a winning franchise, but to comment on the culture, and the depth of the organization and their strategy as a group.
The vibe.
Yeah, all of that. I mean, the only time I've really heard that recently is when some of these players end up signing with the Dodgers, and then they'll talk about how great that organization is. But this is a rare thing to hear in the NFL.
Ladies and gentlemen, where did he revert the conversation back to? Dodgers. This came from my co-host.
Dodgers.
John Riley made that comment.
Okay, let's talk here. Team USA. We'll talk about Pulisic. It's a little bit of a long one. This is from JT, and he goes, at first I criticized FIFA and CONCACAF for fixture congestion, but now I'm more critical of Pulisic. Both Pulisic and Panchito, how did he say his last name? Pochettino.
Mauricio Pochettino.
Excuse me. Both Pulisic and Pochettino should have come to an agreement with respect to playing time, and Pulisic should have at least showed up to camp, whether he played at all or not. Or one half of every game or whatever. It's important 1 year out to get as many of the A team and the A and B rosters as possible together to develop chemistry.
Pochettino approved Pulisic to take the summer off, to not train, etc., because he's played so many games over there for AC Milan over a 2-year window and all the international tournaments and stuff. And he had injuries. He had 2 different injuries this past year alone. Reyna has been hurt. They've had a lot of guys. When they were in their friendlies 2 weeks ago, they had 13 guys out, all of them in different levels and stages of rehab, and a couple guys had to go play for their teams in the Club World Cup. But Pochettino signed off on it. Now, I was told, and I can't verify it at this point, I was told that Pulisic came back to Pochettino after all this heat, showed up and said, I'd be willing to come train and I'll play in the friendlies for you, but I really need this summer off to rest my body. And Pochettino said, no, I'm not going to let you come back and be a part-time player. So Pulisic said he'd come back. At the end of the day, the most important thing is get beyond the Gold Cup, get into your training periods, and when you have the international periods where the guys leave their clubs and come back to train with the national team, get them all there and get them all there healthy. That, to me, is the most important thing. Yeah, the Gold Cup is important, but the World Cup is the epitome of why this thing is together. So that's all I can say. And Pulisic's really steamed at Landon Donovan and Tim Howard and all those guys because they all played abroad, and they know the wear and tear factor. And Landon Donovan, and I like him a great deal, Landon Donovan took a whole year off from the U.S. national side because he needed time to step away. Well, what's him different from him then than it is for Christian Pulisic right now? So the only thing that's important to me is get him back once we're beyond the Gold Cup. Get him back when they get into the training windows. Whole team there. Play your friendlies as preparation for the U.S., Canada, Mexico World Cup games. So I guess I'm siding with Pulisic, and I don't necessarily buy the heat that the former USA guys are directing to Pulisic right now because the game is really different. The global demands on the players are really different than when Lawless played or Howard played, Landon Donovan played, Clint Dempsey played. I don't know. If you're a soccer fan, feel free to pile in, send us a note, tell us if you agree or disagree.
Well, as fans, we hate it when USA loses to Panama. We should be dominating. But I was surprised that they beat Trinidad and Tobago. Granted, Trinidad and Tobago, these 2 little itty bitty islands,
Yeah.
but the point is that they have been so bad for 4 games in a row, and then suddenly they threw a shutout.
But Trinidad is ranked 100th globally. They don't have enough players. It's just, as you say, small islands. So we'll see. They play Saudi Arabia this week in the second game in group play in the Gold Cup. That's interesting, boy. We hit some hot buttons here with the soccer fans. Okay, let's do a couple more here before we wrap this up.
Okay, let's talk a little Dodgers, and this is with Ed Omar, and he says, hey, so that relief pitcher converted into a starter is really a starter that has been used as a reliever to give a chance to the other starters, Gonsolin, May, Sasaki at first, and Kirsch, to get their command and control back.
He's talking about Ben Casparas, who pitched well out of the bullpen in that last start and is going to pitch tonight after Ohtani.
I thought he was talking about Sauer.
No, Sauer was just a journeyman minor leaguer that they threw in there.
But it is they're throwing these warm bodies out there, right?
Yep.
And they can still keep the damn ship afloat
So far.
But I think to your point, you've often commented that the Dodgers analytics guys outsmart everybody. And even in the Dodgers Padres series, you see them bring out Sauer. They kind of waved a white flag in game 2. And in game 3, they had all their lefty guys lined up in the bullpen, ready to face Cronenworth and Merrill and all the other lefty hitters.
Just like the bullpen day in the baseball playoffs last fall.
24 innings of hell.
That's right.
That was torture.
That was their analytics, outthinking the Padre analytics guys.
Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, let's keep moving here. And here, this is an interesting comment, and this is from Roki, and he says, hey, Dodger fan here. Hey, give them a break. The Padres had one of the best second half records in baseball last year. They'll turn it around, although the Devers to the hated Giants doesn't help.
I'll be interested to see if Devers in San Francisco is the Devers that used to be at Fenway Park. I just have reservations. That is such a quirky yard. I think it impacts the psyche of batters. I think it's a really tough place to hit. And then you throw the weather elements in there too. So we'll just have to see what Devers is like playing away from Fenway Park. And in terms of the Padres, they'll be there. Got a whole second half of the season to go. And if they can't execute the right acquisition with their budgetary limitations and the farm system limitations, if they can't execute the right deal, how do they hang in there? That's the big issue to me.
I think what year was it? Was it 2021 where the Padres had a great start and the second half they went into the tank?
Terrible.
Yeah. And that was coming after the COVID 2020 year.
And then 23 was the same disappointment.
Yes.
And then 24, we had the 24 straight shutout Indians at the end, which was a horrific choke job. And this is somebody that hates to use that word, but that was the end result.
That was crazy the way that whole thing went down. And to your point, you're like, should they be starting Dylan Cease on 4 days rest?
Hell no.
Yeah, and that turned out to bite him in the butt. But
3 days rest.
Was it 3 days? Okay,
yes.
Yeah. Normally it's 4 days.
Power
rest.
pitcher on 3 days rest in the playoffs.
Right, but who was the alternative? You were going to have to. The Padres would have had to throw in a bullpen game then.
No, the Padres, they had the left-handed pitcher.
Oh, Martin. What's
Perez.
That? Yeah, Martin Perez.
Yeah, if that turned out to be a bullpen day, so be it. But then Cease would be on regular rest the next game because there was going to be another next game.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Now, you know when you play tennis,
yeah,
guy serves you, you come back to net return serve.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rocco, here's a question. Padres will be there. John and I just went through what happened in 21, 23, and 24.
Yeah.
So that's 3 times since 2021. Franchise has really badly let us down. So you're saying Padres be there. You're treating the topic as if this has been some freaking great franchise. Well, they haven't been to a World Series yet. I've been sat in the press box for a Padre World Series in the Preller era. Have you? Have you gotten a World Series ticket?
No, I haven't.
So we're sitting here. I understand Padre fans get excited with great hope, and they have a lot of named players, and you like these players, and players play well in certain chunks. But they failed in 21, 23, and then choked in 24. So is there a storyline here of greatness? I don't think so.
The standard of excellence for the Padres is so low. It's just that we just want to be competitive, relevant, and at least we're at that stage. But here's another comment here from another Padre fan, and this is from this is Austin. Pardon me. Let me go to Nate. And he says, the Padres better show something starting tonight. Blowing multiple run leads ain't good. Bottom half of the lineup, even Tatis and Merrill, please, guys. Luis, if that dude ain't batting over 300, then his ability to make contact isn't really a big freaking deal.
Well, Tatis had himself a really good weekend. He had 8 base hits against Arizona, so maybe he's come out of the catacombs. Only time is going to tell. Arizer's really streaky, wasn't playing very well. Machado's been rock solid. Xander has been a negative, at least offensively, though he plays really good defense and he's running the bases like hell. Merrill is dinged up with this fluke concussion, which has got to be a bit of a concern. So we'll just see what happens over these next 4 games. I'll tell you, I could argue with these people all day long, but one final question for you. Should I ask this question right now? Ladies and gentlemen, look at my co-host. Is that Dodger blue you're wearing?
What are you wearing? You're wearing like Cleveland Indians colors right there.
Oh, this is red, white, and blue flag.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, that looks like Dodger blue to me.
It's interesting. I mean, the Dodgers have really good looking uniforms,
with the exception of the City Connect jerseys.
Oh yeah, those don't count.
Are awful.
No, but the Dodger uniform is a good look.
Sure,
and especially that red number on
history,
the front
tradition.
of the jersey.
Yep, and the script.
Yeah, and I know that goes back to like Jackie Robinson and games on television in the World Series. I don't know if I have all my facts on that story right. Do you know it? But that's why they have the red number
to stand out. Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's a good look. And, there's a lot of different shades of blue you see for uniform colors, and the Dodgers have the best color of blue.
It's a royal, I think it's called Pantone 280 or something.
Yeah, one of those. I will say Dodger blue if I see a car or something in that color.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host seems to be selling an ideology about the Dodgers now on a podcast out of San Diego.
Yeah, like the Church of Scientology or something, So, I mean, Dodgers. They just got everything,
We're going to wrap this up by saying this is going to be fun. Padres, Dodgers, 4-game series. It's always great to have you along. We busted through, had more than 300 viewers, we believe, the first couple hours today. That's pretty doggone good. We thank you for being part of this. We just roared through an 8,000 threshold of subscribers. If you've yet to subscribe, do that. You can help us a great deal. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star rating. I'm wearing the American flag. He's wearing Dodger blue colors today. Join us on the podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Check my website. Tell everybody who we are and what we're doing. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. John, take a deep breath. We got baseball tonight. This is going to be a fun Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll be back here Thursday to do an autopsy on that 4-game series.
Okay, so we have NBA tonight too, right?
And hockey on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Yeah, busy times.
You have yourself a great day. Thanks for being part of this thing, as always, on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.